My name is Gaige. I'm 22. And my only regret is not emptying the entire magazine into Kyle when I had the chance. Raise your hand if you think Kyle should have aimed for my head. I just came out here to let you guys know that I'm Antifa and I've been released because they bailed me out, and I'm going to be out here on the street wrecking shop looking for another 17-year-old to shoot in the face. Look, I'm not here to apologize for what I did. I regret my life, and you can too.
And all these, there's none specifically in Kenosha, but we're looking for the one with the initial P, and I'm ignoring civil cases, why he was sued or was suing a knitting factory. I don't really know. Why he probably can't use a firearm. And a couple other ones, like, no, honest, no one really cares if he made some loud noises, but, you know. The brandishing a firearm while intoxicated is the main one. But I thought I'd make sure you could see all of them. Even the ones that are not even misdemeanors. And just for fun, I want to find out why he was in a lawsuit with a knitting factory. Oh, small claims eviction.
I love first of all, I love each and every one of you.
We love you too.
Words are difficult right now. It's a lot to process. I also want to say my deepest condolences for Joseph and Anthony. I'd like to give a moment of silence for both of those who are not with us today, and for each and every other person who is not with us today. At no point, regardless of the topic, whether you are for or against the topic that is being protested, nobody should fear for their safety.
That's right.
Nobody, regardless of your opinions, nobody should lose their lives over voicing their opinion.
All right.
Just want to say thank you also to each and every one of you.
Thank you, brother.
Y'all are the reason that I've been out here, am out here, and still will be out here.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Long live the revolution.
Long live the revolution! Okay, right, brother.
Well, I started as an EMT, started my training as an EMT in 2012. After that, decided I wanted to keep going, and then worked as a paramedic, and then after that, I thought I was helping people in the community, because I really do love Milwaukee. I mean, it's where I'm from, it's where I lived almost my whole life. So, I really wanted to help people, and I thought that's the best way that I could do it. People are hurting, and I want to help them, first and foremost, I want to be there to help amplify my brothers and sisters' voices. But then second, I'm there to help people if they get hurt. And, in Milwaukee and surrounding areas, we've encountered private citizens on their private property exercising their Second Amendment right to bear arms. And nothing's ever happened. That's their right. But in Kenosha, it was different, for sure. I mean, I've never been in a combat situation, but, it felt like a war zone. I mean, there's militarized weapons everywhere. There's police like in the Bearcats and the barricades, and they're using militarized weapons. At one point, a woman was shot with a less than lethal round, and it was around this time that when we're in the park, the Kenosha Police Department and other agencies start to advance and start to push us out of the park. So we actually had to move this woman multiple times to keep her away from the police. We had originally moved her to keep her away from tear gas and stuff like that. The police start to advance. We're like, okay, let's move her a little bit more, and then they start to advance more, and it got to the point where, and I'm trying to treat her, and the police keep advancing their line. And then it's at this time we see a group of, 10 to 12 individuals, white males, mostly dressed in similar outfit to the riot police. Immediately after we got hit, it was this list of things, this chain of things that I had to do, and the first and foremost one was to remove myself from that situation. I was just shot. I would have still attempted to treat it myself, but it was nice to have help. Just with everything, it was a lot of confusion, people are running around, and at that point it's like, well, if I'm the person here to help people and I can't help people right now, I really felt that in that moment I was the best trained person to help myself. For the two individuals that lost their lives that night, I got to walk away with my life. Two people didn't, and I can't even imagine how their friends and family are feeling. I'd see how my friends and family are, and I'm here witnessing it. Two people didn't go home that night. Either this thing is going to beat me or it's not, and I am pretty stubborn. I think first and foremost, I'm just a human being, and I'm somebody who cares about their fellow human beings.
New at 10, the Illinois teen accused of killing 2 people during protests in Kenosha goes before a judge as the lone survivor of that attack is speaking about that horrific night. 26-year-old Gaige Grosskreutz is still recovering after he was shot in the arm during the violent unrest last month in Kenosha.
Stephanie Haynes spoke with him tonight about his injuries and how he's fiercely defending everyone's freedom of speech. We want to warn you, some of the video we'll see may be a little tough to watch.
All summer, people have been marching for social justice in and around Milwaukee. Gaige Grosskreutz often joined the crowd as a medic.
Because everybody has the right to freedom of speech and everybody has the right to be safe when they're doing that.
Demonstrators turned their attention to Kenosha following the shooting of Jacob Blake. Gaige went down on that Tuesday to continue to offer medical help. And he says this time it was much more tense.
It felt like a war zone. I mean, it was completely different than anything I'd experienced in Milwaukee.
His attorney wouldn't let him go into many details, but court documents say video shows 17-year-old Kyle Rittenhouse shoot and kill 2 men. Gaige was shot in the arm and survived, he says, in part thanks to another person who helped him with the tourniquet. When you realized the severity of your injury, did you ever think you weren't going to make it?
Yeah, I thought that was a very real possibility. Immediately after being shot, I knew that I had a good 3-4 minutes to stop the bleeding, otherwise I could potentially pass out.
He says he spent about a week in the hospital and underwent multiple surgeries. He says he's still in a lot of pain. Meanwhile, Rittenhouse's attorneys are claiming he fired in self-defense. Gaige says he was armed that night too, but stresses he was following the law.
It's not something that I brought specifically or just because of going down to Kenosha. It's something that I carry with me all the time. I'm not a convicted felon. I have a legal right to possess a firearm and the privilege to concealed carry it. I'm not a member of Antifa. I'm not this terrorist that people are trying to make me out to be.
In the meantime, Gaige returned to the group in Milwaukee on its 100th day of marching because he says these are some of the people who helped him get through this tough time. In Milwaukee, Stephanie Haynes, TMJ4 News.
Welcome to Crime Circus. Tonight we have a police body camera to watch. So let's watch these 2 drunken male Karens, and I promise the babysitter interrogation is coming soon.
Hello, sir. Officer Lazarus, West Dallas Police Department. You don't mind pulling over today? Nope. Okay. When you turned on to 60th Street from Greenfield, you didn't use your turning signal. All right. Do you have your ID on you?
I do, but
What's that?
I do, but it's like literally right behind my buddy's seat right here.
Okay.
Don't really want to reach for it.
I got you. Are there any weapons inside the car?
Absolutely not.
No. Okay. Where are you guys coming from today?
I don't answer questions.
You don't answer questions? Okay. Anything to drink tonight, sir?
No, sir.
No? Okay. Well, I'm going to need to identify you, so do you have your ID on you?
If it's behind him, but I don't want to reach or anything.
I got you. Sir, do you have your ID on you?
Do you need mine?
I do need yours.
If you need mine, I can give you mine.
Sure. Is there a reason that you didn't use your turning signal when you turned onto 60th Street? Sir? Driver? You don't answer questions? Okay. I'll take your ID. You just want to pass that over to me.
Do you need mine?
I do need yours, yes.
Why do you need yours?
Because, sir, he's not wearing a seatbelt, and neither are you.
No, I just took mine off because you pulled me over.
That doesn't make any sense, sir. I'll take your ID.
No, I understand you, but...
Okay. Driver, do you have your ID on you?
Am I allowed to reach?
Yeah, go ahead. Where is it? Why don't you tell me where it is before you reach?
So it's right behind my passenger.
Where is it, sir? Do you mind if we get it since you don't want to reach?
Absolutely not.
Okay, well, we need to identify you, sir. So we need your ID. Okay, does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, so where's your ID?
Literally.
Why don't you do me a favor and shut the car off, sir?
See that?
Put the keys right here. Sure. All right. No, I'll take your ID, please.
I don't have it on.
All right. Why don't you step out of the car, sir? Step out of the car, sir. Come on to the back.
Do you have any weapons or anything on you?
Absolutely not.
No?
Okay.
All right.
Pat you down.
All right, put your phone on top of the car, please.
I'd like to contact my attorney, please.
Not at this point. All right. You can face me, sir. Why don't you tell me your name verbally since you don't want to grab your ID?
My ID is back there.
I know, but you refused to grab it when I asked you for it.
Well, because I don't want to grab behind the chair.
I got you. Okay. Why don't you give me your name verbally then? Okay. Sir, how much have you had to drink tonight?
None.
Okay. Would you be willing to perform some standardized field sobriety test?
No.
You said no.
Okay. I'd like to contact my attorney before I answer any questions.
At this point, you're not going to be making any phone calls, okay? Because I'm in the middle of a traffic stop. We're in the middle of an investigation here, okay?
Sorry, but
So-
I don't answer any questions without my attorney present.
Okay. So you're not going to identify yourself?
I don't answer any questions without my attorney present.
Do you own the vehicle, sir?
I don't answer any questions without my attorney present.
Okay. Are you willing to perform standardized field sobriety test because I have the odor of alcohol coming from your breath, sir?
I don't answer any questions without my attorney
You're
present.
slurring your speech as well, sir.
I don't answer any questions without my attorney present.
Okay. So based on your driving behavior, all right, the fact that you're slurring your speech, you have the odor of alcohol coming from your breath, ingest intoxicants, okay, I believe you're impaired, okay, and I want to give you the benefit of the doubt, all right. I want to have you perform some standardized field sobriety tests so that I know it's safe for you to be operating a motor vehicle at this point, okay? No, leave the phone there.
Would you be willing to do that?
Sir, you're not allowed to be at your phone at this time, okay?
I don't answer any questions without my attorney present.
Okay. Would you be willing to perform some standardized field sobriety tests?
I don't answer any questions.
I need to make sure it's safe for you to be operating a motor vehicle at this point, sir. I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt, okay?
I appreciate that, but I don't answer any questions without my attorney present.
Okay. Is there a reason why you wouldn't perform standardized field sobriety tests?
I don't answer any questions without my attorney present.
Okay.
Would you like to talk to my attorney?
No, why don't you just hang out here with this officer right now, okay?
A little what? They're not that hot.
All right, sir. We're not getting very much cooperation out of your buddy here, okay? What's his deal?
He's a little apprehensive. I know he got his wallet stolen from him recently, so he's
Stolen from where?
I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. Why is he refusing to answer basic questions? He's refusing to identify himself as well.
I don't know personally. I don't want to give out too much information about him.
Okay.
He's a high priority, national news recently. So
Okay. Okay. Well, he's a driver of a vehicle,
No, I
and there is a
understand.
traffic infraction, so we have to identify
I
him.
understand.
You know what I'm
We
saying?
looked at the police officer in front of us, and
That
we've
was
seen him.
that was
That
me.
was you? Yeah.
Yeah, and I saw that you guys didn't use your turning signal, and you turned on the.
We were. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not the driver.
I got you. I got you. Where are you guys coming from today?
I'm a buddy's house. We will leaving a buddy's house at McDonald's and
I got you. All right. At this point, I was speaking with your driver here. He's refusing to identify himself. I had the odor of ingest intoxicants coming from his breath in person. Okay. You know how much he's had to drink tonight?
Personally, I have no idea.
Okay.
We said we come from a buddy's house.
Were you guys drinking over there?
No, we actually weren't.
Okay. There's no need to lie. He smells like it.
No, I
Okay.
understand that.
Okay. So just be honest.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
No. Yeah. What?
I'm not sure.
You're not sure if you guys were drinking over there?
I'm not sure if we were doing it or not.
Okay. That's interesting. this thing open. All right, sir. You're refusing to identify yourself? Okay. I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt to perform some standardized field sobriety tests so that I can make sure it's safe for you to be driving. Okay. I have the odor of alcohol coming from your breath. All right. You're slurring your words. You missed a turning signal on 60th and Greenfield. Okay. I'm trying to work with you. I'm trying to give you every benefit here so that I can make sure it's safe for you to be driving. But at this point, I don't feel that it's safe for you to be driving. Okay. I believe you're impaired. Okay. I'm going to give you one last chance to perform some standardized field sobriety tests so that I can verify it's safe for you to be operating a motor vehicle at this point. Okay? Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying. I'm just saying I would like to talk to my attorney before I move on.
Okay. What do you think your attorney would advise if he was standing right here?
That's why I would like to talk to him.
Okay. Are you, at this point, are you refusing to perform some standardized field sobriety tests?
I'm not refusing. I would just like to talk to my attorney.
Do you own the vehicle, sir?
I do own that vehicle.
Okay. So if I get back the registration info, it's going to have your name on it?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'm not saying I'm refusing. I'm just saying I would like to talk to my attorney.
Okay. I understand. I'll be right back with you, sir, okay? Get anywhere? We're still,
No.
okay. All right, so I'm gonna give you one last option, Gaige. All right, because right now you're leaving me with nothing. You're leaving me no option here. I need to make sure that it's safe for you to be driving. If not, based on my observations, I believe you're impaired and you're operating a motor vehicle. Okay. Do you get what I'm saying? Do you get what I'm saying?
I just want to talk to my attorney. Can you give me that at least?
What's that?
I'm being uncooperative. I just want to talk to my attorney before I move forward.
Are you scanning?
Huh?
You scanning?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Oak Creek's pursuing car.
All right. I'm not going to let you make a phone call at this point. I'm asking you if you will perform standardized field sobriety tests, and this is your last option. I don't want to hear you ask about your attorney, and I don't want to hear any other excuse. I want to know, will you perform the test, yes or no?
So why are you pulling me over?
I told you because you didn't use your turning signal when you were on Greenfield and you turned onto 60th Street. That's the reason for the traffic stop.
Because I came to a complete stop and then turned right?
You did not use your turning signal while conducting the turn. That is why I pulled you over. Okay? Alright, so will you perform the test for me, sir?
25 is Monterey South City limits.
I would like to talk to my attorney, and I have a right to do that.
Okay. Is that your...
I have a right to do that.
I need a yes or no answer regarding the test. Will you perform the test? That's going to be a yes or no. That's going to be a yes or no.
I have a right to talk to my attorney.
Okay. Yes or no?
I have a right to talk to my attorney.
Okay. If that's the case, if you're not going to perform the test, I need you to stand up for me.
You don't need to...
We'll help you out.
I know.
Alright. You don't want to perform the test?
I'm not saying I don't want to perform the test.
Alright. Based on my observations, you're going to be placed under arrest for operating while intoxicated.
Yeah, it's,
He just told you.
Aurora Healthcare Center. Not even
What's that, sir?
I never said I wouldn't perform it.
Alright. Let's walk this way. We'll go to the back of my squad over here. Let's see. Do you need anything from inside the vehicle? Like a wallet or a phone or anything like that? Do you? 10-4, marker 5-5. Alright, Gaige, whenever someone's arrested for operating while intoxicated, it's required that this form is read to them. This is called the informing the accused form, okay? I'm going to read this form to you, alright? And then at the conclusion, I'm going to have a question for you. So do your best to pay attention. Some of this stuff applies to you, some of it will not, okay? Under Wisconsin's implied consent law, I'm required to read this notice to you. You have either been arrested for an offense... Yeah, grab a light real quick. Sergio, can I use your light real quick? My flashlight died. Alright, I'm going to start over. Under Wisconsin's implied consent law, I'm required to read this notice to you. You have either been arrested for an offense that involves driving or operating a motor vehicle while under the influence of alcohol or drugs or both, or you are the operator of a vehicle that was involved in an accident that caused the death of, great bodily harm to, or substantial bodily harm to a person, or you are suspected of driving or being on duty time with respect to a commercial motor vehicle after consuming an intoxicating beverage. This law enforcement agency now wants to test one or more samples of your breath, blood, or urine to determine the concentration of alcohol or drugs in your system. If any test shows more alcohol in your system than the law permits while driving, your operating privilege will be suspended. If you refuse to take any test that this agency requests, your operating privilege will be revoked and you will be subject to other penalties. The test results or the fact that you refuse testing can be used against you in court. If you take all the requested tests, you may choose to take further tests. You may take the alternative test that this law enforcement agency provides free of charge. You also may have a test conducted by a qualified person of your choice at your expense. You, however, will have to make your own arrangements for that test. If you have a commercial driver's license or were operating a commercial motor vehicle, other consequences may result from positive test results or from refusing testing, such as being placed out of service or disqualified. In addition, your operating privileges will also be suspended if a detectable amount of a restricted controlled substance is in your blood. So, Gaige, the question I have for you is, will you submit to an evidentiary chemical test of your blood?
I want to talk to my attorney.
It's a yes or no answer.
I want to talk to my attorney.
Will you submit to an evidentiary chemical test of your blood? If you do not answer with a yes or no answer, I'm going to consider it a refusal.
As I've stated since I want to talk to my attorney.
Okay, like I said before, I need a yes or no answer. Are you refusing to answer with a yes or no answer?
Like I said, I want to talk to my attorney.
Okay, it's going to be a refusal, okay?
I want to talk to my attorney.
Alright, it's going to be a refusal.
None of you guys are, especially him.
What's up?
He's asking if you lift, bruh.
Oh. There's his ID. He's revoked. No wants. Dude, I'm in a 19 for a warrant. Huh? I'm in a 19 for a warrant.
What offense is it?
Want to start searching?
Hmm?
You want to start searching?
Not right now, hold on. Like, and just like earlier you said, to your knowledge, there's no firearms or weapons in the car, right?
Not that I know. At least personally, I'm not possessing any. I have no idea.
Anything illegal?
In my knowledge, I have no idea,
Okay.
man.
This one.
I know Gaige is a registered CCW owner, but I don't think he has any weapons in his car, so.
What's that leg brace doing down there?
Oh, dude, he got his arm shot off in Kenosha, so.
Oh, okay. Oh! No, I know.
Probably why he's a little apprehensive of answering you guys anything, so.
You can have him step out. Alright, what's your first name again then?
I just already told you my name's Jacob.
Step out. Keep your hands if you can see them. You just step back here. Step out, man.
Dude, I don't know what the fuck. I don't want to get shot.
No. Are you serious right now?
Dude, I don't trust you guys. So.
Okay.
I'm just saying. I do trust you guys. Trust you guys personally, but I don't know.
Is it okay if we search you?
100%, man. I have nothing on
It's
me.
yes or no?
Yes, I have nothing
Okay,
on
so
me.
it's okay if we search you?
100%, I have nothing on me.
You live around here?
I do.
Where you live at?
Off of Oklahoma.
Off Oklahoma?
Yeah.
50-ish in
Near Elbert.
Oklahoma.
Yeah, near Elbert.
You want to pull your pants up, bro?
You can like on my wrists. I will gladly pull my pants up.
My flashlight died. Alright. Just have a seat right here on the curb for us, thanks. So basically, I'm gonna explain something.
I just slam on that. Just it. I promise I'm gonna do anything.
Okay. Well, I'm just gonna explain something to you real quick, okay? So, your buddy, driver, Gaige, he's gonna come with us, okay? So when we're done here, we're gonna give you the option of you can either walk home or we can see if we can give you a ride.
137.
To get you home safely.
I'll probably just. Yeah, I'm not gonna drive his car. He can.
I know. Well, because I can tell he's been drinking too.
Yeah, for 100%.
So and I don't want you to drive a car and get stopped or anything like that.
Yeah, I'm not gonna.
So we can see if we can give you a ride to like 60th in Oklahoma, or it's up to you if you want to walk.
Can I talk to him before you guys?
Not right now. He'll be able to call people and probably get out tonight in a couple hours.
Okay. Yeah.
So it's really up to you.
Are you gonna trust us to give you a ride if you
I
want that
do,
option?
but like honestly, that's just fucking. I don't know. I might just. I'm a fat boy. I could probably use it. I could probably use it. Burn some calories. I mean, I'm fucking eating McDonald's tonight, anyways.
Okay, let me just double check that we're done with you real quick and see if we can get you out of here.
You want to search the car?
Yeah.
Or you want me to do it?
Okay.
14, go ahead. 5-5 for 24.
You lift?
Do I lift?
Yeah. We have internet around.
I work out, but I'm not necessarily how would you say, a big gym rat.
I see that, man. So I see that.
Yeah.
None of you guys are, especially him. What's up?
He's asking if you lift, bruh.
Oh. There's his ID key for both. That's a fat no.
You know your driver's license revoked?
Is it? Yeah.
Okay.
But am I driving though?
No, I'm just letting you know.
No, for sure. So fuck that. I don't give a fuck.
It's just for you to know.
I don't give a fuck, dude.
Lose the attitude, dude.
No, fuck you.
Oh, fuck me?
Yeah.
Really? Okay.
Fuck the police.
Fuck the police? Yeah, alright.
Dude, it must suck being a cop, man. Especially when you have someone of color, dude.
Yeah, it sucks because we have people like you.
I bet, man.
Yeah.
But it does, dude. Family must be proud. Dude, this is Gaige. Let's go. Fuck the police, Gaige. Let's go. Fuck the police.
Could you please be quiet?
Fuck the police.
Can you please be quiet? Because if you're being loud.
It's disorderly, I get it.
Yes,
yeah,
right?
disorderly is a very general fucking.
So please be quiet.
Yeah,
right?
I'm being quiet, man.
Right. No, you were shouting and literally putting your hands out.
I was telling my buddy goodbye. Fuck the police.
Right. That's fine. You can have that opinion. That's the beautiful thing about this country, that you can have your own,
It is.
your own
Like,
opinion.
the thing is, my opinion is outweighs most people's opinion, so it's a great opinion, man.
Yeah.
Find anything cool yet, man? I hope his fucking, never mind.
You hope his pistol there or what?
I hope it's not.
24.
Yeah, dude, he's a weirdo. I don't know what the fuck that thing is. As long as it's on his fucking gun, I don't give a fuck what you pull out there. As long as it's not my gun or his gun, let's go. What kind of gun do you carry?
I carry a Glock 17.
Ooh, you know like Berettas, man? Got a 40 cal Beretta, man. It's a great fucking pistol. It's big though. The thing is hard to conceal. Very hard against it. But unless you're a big guy, you know, make it work.
Did you call for a tow already?
Yeah, they got it.
Alright.
At least you don't drive that little piece of shit car that little pussy was driving that pulled him over, dude.
So in lieu of leaving this in the car and making the car stink like McDonald's while it's in the tow lot, I'm going to give this to you.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. Thank you. That's the very least you could do. Appreciate it, brother. Brother. Fucking pig. Fellow pig.
Is that your water, or is this yours? You want it? No, okay.
Let it snake it up. Boy's got $70,000 of bail money. Let's go. Am I scaring you, dude? Sorry. You already searched me. I have nothing on me. You don't gotta be like staring at me like that. It's all good.
You're weird, dude.
I think you're scared, brother.
Scared of you?
Possibly.
Why would I be scared of you?
I mean, you got a nice gun, some tactics on you, but otherwise, I'd be scared.
Why would I be scared of you?
You tell me, man. You're the one staring at me.
Well, letting you know, just...
Yeah, you didn't say
I'm
anything, so you're not letting me know anything. I'm letting you know, like, you're scared of me. I get it.
We can get him out of here.
Alright. Well,
you're free to go.
Here's your...
You want your ID
Here,
back?
Jacob. You have a good night.
Oink, oink, brothers.
Alright, man. Fuck 12, like you said.
Except, hey, besides that, you were kind of cool, but still.
Alright, bye. This night can't get any worse.
You're going to buckle me in before you're driving me around?
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were buckled. I will buckle you in, sir.
No, you're not.
Yeah, safety first, right? Thanks for reminding me.
Go ahead, man. I'll call for you. Yeah, we just need to leave it.
So with the, we are recommending having.
Just have a seat in this chair for me.
Alright.
Yep.
Is that good for you?
Okay. So we just have to wait for the phlebotomist. We'll get the blood sample, and then we'll take you back for the rest of the booking process. Yeah, somebody that can come pick you up after all this? Because otherwise...
Sorry, officer, what's your name and badge number back there? I don't see a name.
Sir, do you have somebody that can come pick you up after all
I'm
this?
not talking to you. I'm talking to you back there.
You'll get it.
I'm just curious.
Yeah, you'll get it before you leave, okay?
I'm asking for it right now.
Okay. You'll get it before you leave.
Noted.
Alright, so if you don't have somebody that can come pick you up, you're going to have to sit at the station for 12 hours. Okay?
Hello.
Alright, why don't you stand up for me? I'll get those handcuffs off
How
for
are you,
you.
Bridget?
I'm fine. How are you guys doing?
Please stand up for me.
Having a good night?
Yes, we are. You?
Looks like it. Yeah. Well, I just got here.
Oh, good.
Just started.
Alright, why don't you take your coat off? She's going to have to draw blood from one of your arms.
Oh.
All right. I'm going to draw your blood, okay? Okay, it's going to be real tight for a minute. 3.
Have a seat for me. Yeah, a lot of stuff to do.
Thanks for watching Crime Circus.
That's why I'm not hanging up.
Okay. Is that the Grosskreutz? Is that
Yes.
right? Okay.
State of Wisconsin versus Gaige Grosskreutz, 21 CT32, count 1, OWI second, count 2, operating with PAC second. This is the initial appearance. The case is assigned to Judge Davila in branch 1. There's no cash bail posted. There's also 20 TR 20971, refused to take test for intoxication after arrest. Appearances, please.
Kelly O'Neill appears for the state via Zoom.
Mr. Grosskreutz appears in person with attorney Leah Thomas by Zoom. Good afternoon, Commissioner.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, Mr. Is it Grosskreutz? Did I say that right?
Grosskreutz.
Kreutz. Okay, sorry about that. Today's your initial appearance. And let me just ask counsel, did you receive a copy of the criminal complaint and do you waive its reading in court today?
Yes, Commissioner.
And is your client's address correct on the complaint?
Your Honor, so this is a unique case. We actually previously filed a motion to redact his address. That motion includes his current address and has been sealed by the court.
All right, I do see that. And I didn't realize there was also the refusal. And had you also already filed your letter requesting a refusal hearing?
Yes, that has been filed timely by Mr. Grosskreutz.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Grosskreutz, as to the criminal case, today's your initial appearance and you've been charged in the complaint in count 1 with operating a motor vehicle while under the influence, second offense, and count 2 operating with prohibited alcohol concentration, second offense. They have the same minimum and maximum penalty each count. And that's where you could be fined not less than $350 nor more than $1,100 and imprisoned for not less than 5 days nor more than 6 months. Do you understand those are the minimum and maximum penalties if you're convicted of either count?
Yes, Commissioner.
And I did review the complaint and it does state probable cause. Now you do have a right to counsel and you are represented. And what's his plea at this time?
Not guilty.
And your not guilty plea will be entered today. And at this time, what's the state's recommendation as to bail?
The state would ask for a $2,500 PR bond, conditions of absolute sobriety, and no driving without a valid license. I will just note for defense counsel, quickly looking at the refusal in CCAP doesn't show that a letter's been filed, but I know with the sealing of the record, maybe something happened, but I just wanted to let you know to look at that court record.
I really appreciate that. Thanks, Kelly.
All right. So your recommendation was 2,500 PR?
It was.
All right. Counsel as to bail?
We have no objection to that. Mr. Grosskreutz is responding to this summons today with counsel. He is currently in treatment and we wouldn't object.
All right. Then, sir, I will set your bail at the $2,500 personal recognizance bond. So that will be a signature bond. Also, as a condition of your bail, you cannot drive without a valid driver's license and you have to maintain absolute sobriety. Do you understand your bail, sir?
Yes, Commissioner.
All right. And I did check the refusal. I don't see it, counsel, the request for a refusal hearing uploaded. But I know you usually file those. So what I'll do is I'll just have make sure you can check to make sure that was uploaded. And then we'll set the refusal over with the OWI.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Just gonna mute my.
Council, we are looking at the week of March 8th.
Okay. Could we do the 9th in the afternoon?
Okay. Next court date as to both matters will be March 9th at 1:30 for a pretrial conference and status before Judge Davila in Branch 1.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, everyone. Have a good day. That concludes your initial appearance, sir.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
All right, take care. Bye-bye. You guys, can you hold on 1 second before calling the next case? I have to answer a deputy's question.
2 civil claims with one goal in mind: to hold those who may have played a part in the events resulting in the death of Anthony Huber and the shooting of Gaige Grosskreutz in Kenosha on August 25th accountable.
People died that night. My client nearly died that night. That's why.
2 $10 million claims are on the Kenosha County Board of Supervisors' agenda Tuesday for discussion after being filed by attorneys for the estate of Anthony Huber and Gaige Grosskreutz. Kyle Rittenhouse is charged with shooting both victims.
We're doing, everything that we can to make sure that justice is served.
In the claims, the attorneys for Huber, who was allegedly shot and killed by Rittenhouse back in August, along with Grosskreutz, who was shot in the arm, say the city and county of Kenosha, the police chief, sheriff, and other unknown or former employees played a role in events leading up to both shootings.
We're basically looking to sue different actors within the city of Kenosha, as well as the city of Kenosha itself, who we believe were negligent in their allowing of Mr. Rittenhouse to indiscriminately run around during a week of protest with a loaded weapon. The officers giving water to different armed people that were down there, including offering it to the shooter.
But compensation aside, Motley says her and her client's ultimate goal is that Rittenhouse is held accountable for his actions.
The primary objective is that we believe that Mr. Rittenhouse should be convicted for all the charges that he's facing.
We did reach out to the Kenosha County Board of Supervisors legal counsel for a statement, as well as the Kenosha County Sheriff and Police Chief, but we have yet to hear back. In Milwaukee, Taylor Lumpkin, TMJ4 News.
You may continue. We need the jury. Oh, what is it today? What is it today?
Can I just ask real quick, Judge, before we bring them down? Do you have any idea what our lunch period's going to look like?
It's warm food, so it's going to be whenever it arrives.
Okay.
It's supposed to come at around noon, but the 2 times we've had warm food before, they've all come quite early. So let's hope for the best.
Could I ask, Your Honor, could we have a 12 to 1 break today? There's some additional issues that I made you aware of earlier that may require some extra time.
I will, as much as I can, I will accommodate that. But as I say, if the food comes warm, I'm not going to make the jurors wait for more than 10 or 15 minutes max.
Okay.
Just so you know, till 1.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Hello? Would you come down, please?
Yep.
Mr. Grosskreutz, the last video we watched had some police individuals with their armored vehicles, and they appeared to be escorting you away. Would that be fair to say?
That is fair to say, yes.
What happened after that?
After the police officers that responded in the Bearcat, or that armored personnel carrier, they assisted me getting into the back of it. The inside, from what I remember, is designed. There's 2 benches on either side with a pretty narrow walkway. From here, I had officers on either side of me. I had been seated on the floor in between the 2 bench seats. And then from there, I remember having a conversation with what I'm going to assume was the medic on that. I don't know if that was a SWAT team or what the organization of that unit was, but it appeared to me that whoever I was having this interaction with, this conversation with, was the medic, for lack of a more specific term. From there, from what I remember, this SWAT medic was attempting to start an IV on me. We then had a conversation regarding whether or not, well, let me back that up. While this medic was trying to start an IV on me, I had begun asking him to apply another tourniquet because my arm was still bleeding. So as far as medical practices can go, if whatever wound is still bleeding with a single tourniquet, the idea is you want this thing to be very, very tight to stop all blood flow. The idea is life over limb. But you can apply another tourniquet or an additional one to assist in stopping the bleeding. And then from there, we arrived at the hospital, and the SWAT members, the police officers, opened the back of the door, or the back door of the Bearcat. A few of them got out first and essentially provided a perimeter, and then another one or two officers helped me get up from, so I should clarify, I was sitting down in between the two benches. One officer had helped me up, and then from there I walked myself into the emergency room.
When you say you were at the hospital, is that KMH, Freighter South, down here on just off of Sheridan?
That is correct, yes.
And what sort of medical treatment did you receive either at that hospital or at subsequent facilities?
Upon arriving at the first hospital in the emergency room, the tourniquets were left in place. And once you put those on, you want to be very sure before you take them off. There's issues with blood clots and that sort of thing. From there, I remember having my vitals taken, so that includes like pulse, blood pressure, EKGs, which is heart rhythms, the pretty general stuff when anybody goes to the hospital. But then specific to my injury, they being the hospital staff, the ER doctor who had been working that shift, determined that they were not able to provide adequate treatment for me. So for a little bit of clarification, hospitals, at least in Wisconsin, are on a tier system.
Why don't you ask another question?
Sure. So at the first hospital, KMH, they determined they needed to send you someplace else. Is that fair to say?
Yes.
Where did you go from there?
I don't recall the name of the hospital. I do know that I was transported by ambulance to an additional hospital. I remember the ambulance ride only being about 5 minutes.
And then at that hospital, did they treat you, or did you have to go someplace else after that?
Originally, I was supposed to be treated at that hospital, but given the severity of my injury, it was determined that I was going to be transported by Flight for Life to Freighter in Milwaukee.
And once you got up to Freighter in Milwaukee, did you have to undergo any surgical procedures or anything?
I did.
Can you tell us about that?
Yes. When I first arrived to Freighter in Milwaukee, I was brought into the trauma room. Essentially from there, I was stripped naked, getting prepped for surgery. And that surgery, from my understanding, is the first one is what's called a debridement. Essentially what that is it's a very deep cleaning of a wound to stave off infection. Essentially it's scraping away the dead tissue.
Now, we've heard other testimony that when you were shot, it was shortly before midnight on August 25th. Were you eventually taken up to Frederick, Milwaukee sometime overnight?
In the early morning, yes.
And the surgery, would that have occurred shortly after you got to that hospital?
Almost immediately after me getting there, yes.
Do you recall if there were any other surgical procedures done on you while you were at Frederick that early morning?
The early morning, I don't believe I had any surgeries. I was in the ICU, a few rooms over from Jacob Blake, and that, like I said, it's an intensive care unit, so it's for serious traumatic injuries or medical ailments. But then from there, I was moved to what would essentially be a tier down from that, so it's like the long-term ICU, if that makes sense. And then from there, I had, I don't recall if it was 2 or 3, but I do know I had at least 2 more of these debridement surgeries. Again, that's where it cleans off the tissue.
Was there eventually surgical procedures done to try and repair the damage to your arm?
Yes.
When was that?
That would have been the Monday, the following Monday.
Okay. And have you undergone more than one of those types of procedures?
That specific procedure, no.
Okay. Overall, how much treatment have you received since this shooting to try and repair the damage?
I would say about a week in the hospital for emergency care. And then from there, several months of physical therapy.
Now, when you got to the hospital, one of the hospitals, you said they took everything off of you. Did you have anything with you that you had picked up on the street while you were out around that night?
Yes, I did.
What did you have?
I had a spent tear gas canister.
I have an exhibit here which has been marked as exhibit number 61, I believe. Is that what the sticker says on there? Okay. I'm going to have Detective Antaramian remove this item and hold it up for the jury. Mr. Grosskreutz, is the detective holding up the item that you're referring to?
Yes, he is.
I would move exhibit 61 into evidence.
Objection? No. Proceed.
Where did you find that?
That would have been maybe 50 feet south on Sheridan from Car Source.
From that 59th Street car source?
I'm sorry. Yes, 59th Street Car Source.
Okay. And you said it was spent, meaning whatever originally was there, all the gas had come out.
Correct.
Is that right? So it wasn't capable of doing any further damage or harm to anyone?
Correct.
Why did you pick it up?
I don't know. I don't have an answer for that.
Okay. So, did there come a time in which law enforcement officers came to speak to you at the hospital?
That's correct.
Did they ask you to sign a release for them to obtain your medical records?
They did.
And did you in fact do so?
I did.
Did you also provide the officers with a statement about what had happened to you?
Yes, I did.
And did you describe to them the fact that you had been recording the night's events on a Facebook live stream?
Yes, I did.
When you say a Facebook live stream, is that something that if someone's on Facebook, they could possibly see that if they wanted to?
That is correct.
Did you also have a copy of that video on your phone?
No, not a physical copy.
Where was the actual file itself in the world, if you will?
When you record something on Facebook Live, it gets stored in your profile videos, photos. So while I didn't have a physical copy of it on my phone, I was able to access the recording via my Facebook through my phone, if that makes sense.
Were the police, did you make them aware of the fact that there was that video out there?
Yes, I did.
Around the time that you were in the hospital that night after the shooting, in the early morning hours, etc., did you become concerned about your own personal safety?
Yes, I did.
Can you tell us about that?
After the events of August 25th, it was made known to me pretty quickly that people online and in person were...
Sure sounds like it.
It goes to his state of mind, Your Honor. There's
What, state of mind about what?
cooperating. This is intimidation.
See, the rule is you can't buttress credibility unless it's attacked.
It has been with the detective's testimony, Your Honor. There's been questioning over his cooperation level already.
I'm going to overrule the objection and allow the evidence. But and we're working again with the hearsay rule. So I'm not going to permit the evidence to be considered as proof of what he may have seen or heard about what was on the internet, but rather as proof of circumstances operating on his mind. Does that make sense? So it isn't to be taken as true if, let's, for example, I'm gathering you're going to suggest there was some suggestion of harm, potential harm. It's not being offered to prove that there was in fact a true risk from any particular source of any harm, but rather what he concluded based upon the information that he heard. Make sense? Okay, thank you.
Please continue telling us about your concerns for your safety.
So, like I had just said, it had been made aware to me that people online were making threats, going above just personal opinion, as well as people coming outside my place of residence, family members, including my mother, my grandmother, an aunt that I had hardly talked to. And that became very concerning for me.
Did there come a time in which the investigating officers asked you for access to everything on your cell phone?
Through my attorney, yes, I did.
Was that something that you were interested in turning over to law enforcement?
At the time, I was under the impression that I was fully cooperating, and so yes, that is something that I was willing to do.
Did that actually happen?
No, that did not.
Do you know why not?
At the time, no. I didn't know.
Did you personally ever make a decision to refuse to give over all of the contents of your cell phone to law enforcement? Did you personally?
I never personally refused that, no.
May I approach you? Mr. Grosskreutz, I have put in front of you a document which has been marked as exhibit number 68. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
Can you tell us what that is?
Essentially, this document that I'm looking at is an official form for informed consent to disclose evidence, personal property, personal records.
Do you know whose form that is?
My form.
Well,
oh, sorry.
Which agency or entity created that form, if you know?
It is marked by the Kenosha Police Department and the Kenosha County District Attorney.
And is this a form that was presented to you by a law enforcement officer so that they could get access to your medical records?
Yes.
Did you sign that form?
Yes, I did.
What day did you sign it?
August 26th, 2020.
I'd move Exhibit 68 into evidence.
Objection? No. Proceed.
After everything that you've been through, Mr. Grosskreutz, do you still have any physical issues with your arm?
Yes.
Can you tell us about that?
Apart from the obvious loss of tissue, muscle doesn't grow back. Aside from that, and perhaps things being difficult, like larger, heavier things being difficult to lift, I do have a neurological deficit on my arm. So I would say about here where the injury is. Essentially all of this, and through my thumb, I'm not able to feel. I am able to move it, but there is no sensation in that area.
And I just want to, for the record, demonstrate you held up your right arm. You indicated that the wound was near the crux of your elbow.
Correct.
And you indicated that there was no feeling in an area of the arm, which, if I'm characterizing this correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it looked like you were describing the top of your forearm running from the elbow down to your right thumb. Would that be fair to say?
That is correct.
In the area where that wound was, did you have a tattoo?
I did.
Is that
I'm sorry, I still do.
And what does that tattoo say?
Tattoo is a image of a pretty prominent symbol in the healthcare field. It's the snake wrapped around the cross, around the staff. On the top, there is a banner that says "Do no harm," meaning do no harm. It's a banner on the top here, and then on the bottom, there was a banner that said "Do no harm," KNOW harm. Yes.
And that's one of the mantras of the medical industry is first do no harm.
Correct.
One moment, please.
All right, cross-examine.
So, Mr. Grosskreutz, on the morning of the 26th of August, do you remember telling the officer who interviewed you, sometime during the incident, my Gen 4 Glock 27 that has a belt clip attached fell off my waist? Remember that?
I don't recall saying that, no.
Can I show him the statement? Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 69 for identification. Do you recognize that document?
I do.
Okay. And that's, if I could be fair, I'm not going to stand by you the whole time, so I'm sorry, but is that your signature?
That is.
Okay. And it appears that that is, it says on 8/25/20 at 11:30 p.m. at 6300 Sheridan Road, and then it goes on a narrative version of your statement. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And if I could, toward the end of that large paragraph, you'd agree it says, sometime during the incident, my Gen 4 Glock 27 that had a belt clip attached fell off my waist. Correct?
Correct.
Okay. That's a lie, right?
I wouldn't say that's a lie, no.
You didn't take the Glock out of your back here and run with it?
I did.
So it didn't fall off your waist. It was in your hand.
That's correct.
So you would say that's not a lie?
No, I would say it isn't.
Okay, and you told that to multiple officers. Isn't that true?
I don't know.
Same exhibit, sir. The next sentence. I told multiple officers that I dropped my firearm. Right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you didn't drop your firearm. You were chasing Mr. Rittenhouse with your gun, right? Yes? You were chasing him with your gun? Yes?
No.
You didn't chase him down Sheridan Road, pulling your gun, chasing after him. That's a lie. You're saying that didn't happen.
I'm not saying that it didn't happen, but I wasn't chasing the defendant.
You were running after him?
No.
No. Okay. Did you ever get charged for not telling the truth to the police about dropping your gun?
No.
Did you ever tell the police in here on this statement that you actually had a firearm in your hand and pointed it at the defendant?
No, I did not.
You never told them you had a gun at all in terms of as you had an interaction with Mr. Rittenhouse. True?
That is correct.
And I know you said you don't know, but Jason Lakowski testified that he picked up that firearm that he believes belonged to you, and there was one in the chamber. Do you dispute that that could be true?
No, I do not.
Now, you had talked about your purpose of being there that evening. You're a member of our Wisconsin Revolution, are you not?
No, I'm not.
You're a member of the People's Revolution?
No, I'm not.
Have you spoken at their rallies?
I have at one.
And during that rally, have you made statements such as, long live the revolution?
I have.
And you have no affiliation with them, though?
Affiliation, yes.
Okay, there's some of those people in the crowd today, aren't there?
Yes.
Now, your first statement to Officer, I think it's Birch, on the morning of the 26th. When he's asking you about what happened, if I have this right, you don't explain at all to him as to how you approached Mr. Rittenhouse with your gun, correct?
Am I able to? I don't know.
You don't know?
I don't remember specifically on that document.
Okay.
No.
In fact, 6 hours after you had been shot, you had a lawyer, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you wanted to stop the interview with the police because you had a lawyer, right?
That is correct.
And this is a civil lawyer, right?
That is one thing that she represents, yes.
Okay. And she's in court today, right?
Yes, she is.
Okay. And I know this wasn't addressed, but you have I'm going to show you Exhibit 62. So I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit number 62. This is a notice of claim. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. Filed on your behalf by your lawyer, right?
That is correct, yes.
Making a notice or telling, among others, the city and county of Kenosha that you would like $10 million. True?
That is correct.
Did you read this?
I did.
So are you aware in this document, you never mentioned that you actually possessed a firearm? You know that?
That is correct.
You left that part out, right?
That is correct.
Judge, I would move 62.
Is there objection?
No.
See,
You then had, shortly thereafter, I want to say in October, I'm going to show you what is Exhibit 63. You have now filed a lawsuit in federal court. Is that right?
That is correct.
Did you read that?
Yes, I did.
In that document, you again failed to mention that you possessed a firearm. Is that right?
That is correct.
So you, in these documents that you are filing with courts, you are leaving out the fact that you had possessed a firearm when you were shot, right?
That is correct.
Okay. And this is, so to be fair, this is your testimony today, and how this case turns out has an impact on your ability to try to collect your $10 million, right?
That is correct.
So if he's convicted, if Mr. Rittenhouse is convicted, your chance of getting $10 million is better, right?
I'm not entirely sure how that plays out.
Haven't had any conversations with your lawyer about
well,
that?
you're not going to ask him about conversations with his lawyer.
Okay, fair enough. You're aware that if Mr. Rittenhouse is convicted, your chances of getting the $10 million are better?
I'm going to object, Your Honor. This has been asked and answered, and I don't think he's got a basis to answer that.
Judge,
Well, I was sustained on the first ground.
I would move 63.
Objection?
No.
Received.
So you were asked by Attorney Binger about a live stream that you had been running that evening, right?
That is correct.
All right. And there are, as far as I can tell, 3 instances in which you see, at least on that live stream, you see Mr. Rittenhouse. Do you agree with that?
Yes, I would.
Okay. Do you have them? And during that first contact, which we'll see, you're filming, you had talked a little bit about this, you were filming him 2345. That's fine, just wait. You gotta put them all on.
No, I don't defund the police because I ain't letting none of that shit sit down. I don't think you understand what defund means. We're not asking for abolition yet. We're asking for social programs to be funded. So we don't end up with more redneck asses like you. Yeah, when I see on the street, I'm put these hands on that bitch.
This is my like 5th time tonight.
I don't like being tear gas. Nobody likes being tear gas.
I understand why you guys are out here, though. There's a lot of fucking people from out of town last night. I'm not seeing as many people from out of town here tonight. I don't think it's been very
No,
And like our whole national thought, cops are straight up with us, right? They were gonna push y'all to us, have y'all get pissed off at us, and then wrap you guys the fuck up.
Right.
So that's
time that you saw him have contact with people who were carrying the woman, you had said?
Yes.
Okay. And now, to be fair, you didn't think he was doing work as an EMT properly, right?
In that instance?
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't say that.
You wouldn't say that you thought he was doing it? How did you think he was doing it?
I hadn't even observed the defendant administer anything, so at that point,
You didn't see him threaten anybody, right?
no, I did not.
You didn't see him point his gun at anyone?
No, I did not.
Didn't see him raising his voice in an agitated manner or anything like that?
No, I did not.
Okay. And I know you said that you heard people say something along the lines of, don't go to them. Do you help her out?
No, I do not.
Okay. Now, later on, 31 minutes. 31:00. Later on, you see him walking. Would that be fair? Right? You can play it from right there.
Looks like the Boogaloo Boys, the good old boys rolling up. Two right there. Two right there.
You fucking laughing? Fuck you!
Yeah. So you hear him say, anybody need a medic, right?
Correct.
Okay. Natalie, go ahead.
Got our own medics. You're good. You can go home.
Fucking stupid. And that's you, right?
Speaking?
Yeah.
That is correct.
So you say you can go home, you fucking stooge. Right?
Correct.
Okay. He didn't do anything to you, did he?
No.
You didn't see him threaten anyone, did you?
No, I did not.
You didn't see him act aggressive toward anyone, did you?
No, I did not.
In fact, again, whether you agree that he's a medic or not, he's asking people if they need help. Agreed?
That is correct.
Okay. Then 57:28. Mr. Banger had asked you about this one, and this is the time that Mr. Rittenhouse you videotaped him. That's fine right there. Go ahead.
I understand. Hey, your job isn't to be in the streets. You guys stay on your property. That's why you got problems already with people.
So you see him pulling a dumpster out of the road, right?
Correct.
And you'd agree on normal situation, a dumpster's not supposed to be in the road?
In normal situations, yes.
And you hear somebody telling him, hey, that's not your job. You're not to do that, right?
That is correct.
He doesn't react to that person at all, does he?
No, he does not.
He doesn't threaten that person in any way?
No, he does not.
He doesn't point his firearm at that person?
No, he does not.
To be fair, he ignores that person, doesn't he?
I think that's a fair way of putting it.
Okay. And in terms of the next time you really see him is your contact with him on Sheridan Road after the shooting of Joseph Rosenbaum, right?
That's correct.
Okay. Now, you were asked, were you armed with a firearm? And you said that you were, right? Mr. Binger said, what do you bring? And you said keys, wallet, whatever else, and a gun, right?
I did say that, yeah.
Kind of standard operating procedure for you out in the summer of 2020?
Not just the summer of 2020.
Oh, so you had carried your firearm at times previous to that?
That's correct.
And you're doing that for personal protection, correct?
Correct.
And you're carrying it concealed, are you not?
That is correct.
It's unlawful for you to carry it concealed. Is that not true?
Unlawful?
Yeah, you can't carry a concealed weapon without a CCW permit, right?
That is correct, yes.
You have to open carry. You have to have, we've been talking about people with their guns out. You have to carry it with it out if you don't have a CCW permit, right?
That is correct.
And you didn't have a CCW permit, did you?
I did have a CCW permit.
It wasn't valid, correct?
After the fact, yes, I found out that it was not valid.
So have you been charged for unlawfully carrying a firearm?
No, I have not.
So you're carrying a gun for protection in your, if I have it right, back here, right?
That is correct.
And I'm motioning into my kind of my belt area.
Correct.
Okay. Now, your first contact with Mr. Rittenhouse, I think you had testified that you believed that he said to you that he was going to the police, or that he was working with the police, right?
That is correct.
Well, on your statement on the 26th, which is the first statement you gave to law enforcement, right?
Correct.
You told law enforcement, I heard the guy say, quote, that he pulled the gun on me first, unquote, right?
That is correct.
So you never say to the police during your interview, he told me he was working with you guys. You never tell them that, do you?
That is correct.
So when you make contact with Mr. Rittenhouse, tell me if this is fair. And I'm not, Mr. Binger's asked witnesses to do this, so I'm going to ask you to do the same. You've probably watched videos, you've probably seen all this. I'm asking you to put yourself back there at that time, okay? You know shots are fired, right?
Correct.
Okay. And the only information that you have is Mr. Rittenhouse saying, according to you, he pulled the gun on me first, right?
Correct.
And based on that, you believe there's an active shooter.
Not solely on that, but yes.
You don't have any information, correct?
I had minimal information.
And in fact, what he says to you was, I'm going to the police, correct?
That is correct.
And he's running toward the police, isn't he?
That is correct.
Okay. So what you, and tell me if this is right, you have no idea what happened with Mr. Rosenbaum, do you?
Apart from, no. No.
On that day?
Correct.
Okay. And he tells you, he's running, and he tells you, whatever he tells you, I'm going to the police, or what you think is, he pulled the gun first, and he's running away from you, right? He's running north on Sheridan Road. Yes?
Correct.
And he's running away from where you're standing. True?
Correct.
You at that point pull a firearm out from your belt and begin to chase him. True?
That is not true.
I want the picture. I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 35. Can you take a peek at that for a second? That's a picture of you, is that right?
On the right-hand side with the blue cap and... Yeah.
You can look there where this is you, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you're digging into your waistband in the back, are you not?
Yes.
That's where your gun is located, is it not?
That is correct.
Okay. Do you see Kyle Rittenhouse in this picture?
I don't think so, no.
Okay. So if we can be fair here, this isn't him, right?
No, it is not.
And you don't believe that's him?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay, and you'd agree none of these other people are him either?
I think that's a fair thing to say, yes.
Okay. What do you think, to the best of your ability, how far that guy's ahead of you?
It'd be hard to tell, but based on what I can see here, maybe 30 feet.
Okay. So you believe, based on this, Mr. Rittenhouse is more than 30 feet ahead of you because he's not behind that guy, right?
Yes.
Okay. So he's 30 feet, at least 30 feet ahead of you. You look like at that point you're moving. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. So with him 30 feet ahead of you, running away from you, at that point you pull your firearm and begin to chase him, correct?
No.
You don't begin to chase him?
Nope. No, I do not.
You head in the direction that he's running. Yes?
Correct.
But you just happen to be running in that direction? It has nothing to do with Kyle Rittenhouse running in that direction?
No, it does have to do with the defendant running in that direction, yes.
Okay. So you are trying to chase him down?
No.
You can hear people yelling at that point, get him, get his ass, things like that, right?
That is correct, yes.
Did you hear, there's one that I've heard on this, and I don't know if you've heard it. Cranium that boy. Did you hear that?
I've heard it after the fact. In that moment, I do not recall hearing that, no.
Okay. But you acknowledge you hear get him and get his ass.
Correct, I do.
Okay. So, fair at that point, you believe those people are chasing him down?
Yes, I do.
And I'm going to use the word mob, you use whatever word you want. It's getting bigger as they're running, isn't it? More people are joining this.
I think that's a fair thing to say.
And you believe, well, tell me if this is true. You were concerned for Kyle Rittenhouse's safety.
Yes, I was.
You were concerned because you saw, and I'm going to refer to him as the only way we refer to him, jump kick man. So you see this guy kick him in the face. True?
I do not see Jump Kick Man kick him in the face.
You see him attempt to kick him in the face?
From my perspective, I didn't see any specific motion regarding kicking. But it is fair to say that I did observe Jump Kick Man going over the defendant.
Okay. And he's going, if you remember, he's going over the defendant with his foot in the air, correct?
I don't recall that.
You have a picture of him? And before I bring it up, to be fair, you're making up ground on Mr. Rittenhouse, correct? As you're running in his direction.
Correct.
Okay, you eventually catch him.
Correct.
Or come up to him, right?
Correct.
Okay. You can turn around, or whichever you want to do. You see that going on, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so if we're being honest with one another, he appears to be trying to kick him in the face, right?
In this photograph, yes.
Okay. How far away from this when it's going on are you?
I don't recall how far away I was exactly when this action occurred.
You're a matter of feet, though, right?
I think that's a fair thing to say.
Okay.
Close.
All right, and you're seeing this, so you are having some concern, maybe as a medic or while you're training, that Kyle Rittenhouse is in physical danger. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. So, and you believe he's in physical danger because he's being attacked, right? That's fair.
It's a fair thing to say, yes.
Okay. So you see this, then you see, can you bring up the Huber picture, please? Then you see Mr. Then you know you didn't know it then, but you know now that's Anthony Huber, right?
Correct.
Okay. And you saw this happening, right?
Correct.
And it was no more from me to you away probably at that point, true?
I don't recall, but that's probably fair. Yes.
And in fact, you had mentioned to the officers that you even recalled Mr. Huber holding onto the trucks of that skateboard when he was striking him, right?
Correct.
And that, to be fair, as a medic, that concerned you, did it not?
I think anytime that there's a risk of head trauma, it's a risk.
Yeah, no, fair enough. So, you believe in this picture, one of the reasons you wanted to intervene was you believed that Mr. Rittenhouse was in danger of being seriously hurt, right?
In part, yes.
And you had mentioned to the police that evening that you tried telling Mr. Huber, you just said the guy, but you tried telling the guy to stop hitting him with the skateboard. Is that right?
That is what I put in my statement, yes.
Is that true?
With the benefit of hindsight, I don't believe that to be true, no.
Okay, so when you told that to the police that you told the guy with the skateboard to stop hitting him, that's not correct, that's not true.
That is correct.
Now, your original statement then to the police was, I tried telling the guy to stop hitting him with the skateboard. The guy on the ground then turned over, racked the weapon, and pointed his gun at me and shot me, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. You omitted the idea, you omitted the fact that you ran up on him and had a Glock pistol in your hand, right? You left that out.
Correct.
Would you think in a case where you are shot that providing the police information that you were actually possessing a firearm at the time would be relevant?
I think that's fair, yes.
Okay. But you didn't think it was relevant to tell him that day, correct?
It's not that I didn't think it wasn't relevant. After the defendant had shot me, I had just gotten out of surgery when the Kenosha police officers had arrived and just gone through one of the most traumatic experiences in my life, both emotionally and physically. I'd just gotten out of surgery. I had just been sedated. I was on pain meds. So,
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I don't want to interrupt you.
sorry. It wouldn't have been a purposeful omission.
You were asked at that same statement what you did for work and you refused to answer that, right?
That is correct.
So you made a conscious decision to not answer that.
That is correct.
You weren't so drugged that you couldn't answer that question, right?
I refused because I was worried for my safety.
My point is that you had a thoughtful process not to answer that. True?
That is correct.
You told this officer specifically what Mr. Rittenhouse was wearing, correct?
That is correct.
You had a thoughtful process, even though you just got out of surgery and were drugged and whatever else was going on, which I understand. You were still able to answer all those questions to the best of your ability, and they were accurate, right?
To the best of my ability, yes.
Okay. So the fact that you failed to mention that you possessed a firearm when you were shot and that you dropped it, were those things that you forgot because of your medication?
I would say not only the medication, but also the traumatic experience that I had just gone through.
And you understand it's the only information that you appeared to have forgotten that puts you with a gun directly in front of him, right?
That is correct.
Now, you are also then interviewed again by law enforcement in September. Is that right?
That is correct.
You bring your lawyer.
Correct.
Mr. Binger's there?
Not in person.
Okay, but he's present in the...
He is attending the meeting, yes.
Okay. And there were three...
Sorry, he was present via Zoom.
Okay, and there were a total, if you remember, 3 prosecutors present, right?
The only 2 people who I were aware were their official capacity was the lead detective, Ben Antaranian, hopefully I pronounced that correctly, and then Mr. Binger.
Okay.
But as for the other people, I'm sure they mentioned their names, but those were the 2 people that stuck out, I guess I should say.
So the people that you recall, Detective Antaranian, Mr. Binger, your lawyer, and you.
Correct.
And you were asked on that day, which would be, now that would be your second statement, you were asked about what had happened, right?
Correct.
And had you viewed some of the video between the shooting and the interview that you gave on, I think it was the 24th of September?
I can't say for sure, but I would say it's a very fair guess that I had at least seen something at that point, or by that point.
And in that interview, you don't answer any questions about the shooting, do you?
No, I do not.
This lead detective on a homicide case, where you are also shot, is trying to gather information to figure out exactly what went on, and you refuse to answer questions about that, right?
Specifically about the shooting?
Yeah.
That is correct.
Was that your decision or your lawyer's decision?
That was the advice that my counsel gave me.
So your counsel wouldn't let you answer questions about your involvement. True?
I wouldn't say that she wouldn't let me, but she advised against it.
So your statements about what actually happened, first time that we're getting an insight as to what actually happened is today, right?
I don't think that's accurate.
Well, on the 24th, you refused to answer questions, right?
The 24th of...
September.
Correct.
And the day after the incident, you acknowledge you left out the fact that you even had a gun, right?
That is correct.
Mr. Binger asked you about this. You were asked for permission to look through your phone, right?
I do recall that, yes.
You never actually gave your phone to Detective Antaramian to look through, did you?
My phone was picked up off the street the night of the 25th. So, no, I didn't give my phone to anybody. Somebody, and I'm assuming a police officer, had picked it up.
My question to you, that wasn't my question to you. My question to you was, Detective Antaramian asked you for permission to look through your phone, and you never gave him your phone. True?
I never gave him permission to look through my phone, no.
Are you aware that he had a search warrant for your phone?
No, I was not.
So, if I can, Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to walk you through a little bit of the video. Okay? Are we good on time?
I haven't been notified that the lunch is here, but
I gotta pop up, it'll be in about 15.
you heard what?
15, 20 minutes I sent
From
you.
now?
Yes, from noon.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Well, are you fine with time?
You had asked for 12 to 1.
Right.
You were in the middle of an examination, so I will, I'll hear from you guys as to what you want to do.
If it's not here, I'm fine. I'm ready to continue. I just didn't know if he had a problem.
I just was hoping for an hour, whenever
Okay. I'll give you an hour whenever we stop.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so just, I'm going to have you stop it a lot. Okay, go ahead. Now, you see that? This isn't you, but you see this gentleman right here? See the,
I do.
okay.
Would you like Sister Marcian's pointer? Oh, sure. It's up to you. I don't, you're welcome to use your glasses if you want.
He's got it.
Oh, he's got it.
You see this gentleman right here, right?
I do.
Okay, now you agree he advanced on what ran after, came up to Mr. Rittenhouse, right?
Can you rewind just slightly?
Can you just go, if you know, go back 10, but. Yep. So, you agree that he runs up to Mr. Rittenhouse and then applies the brakes, right?
I do.
Okay, and you'd agree that he's me to you away.
And that's a
Okay.
fair assessment, yes.
2-3 feet. He's advancing on Mr. Rittenhouse, and you'd agree, he puts his hands up, and Mr. Rittenhouse never fires his gun. Correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Now, you're off screen here at this point, right? You haven't come into the frame yet?
No, I have not.
Okay. That is, for lack of a better term, this gentleman right here. This is Jump Kick Man, right?
I believe so, yes.
So, you can play it. So, you now see that Jump Kick Man kicked Mr. Rittenhouse in the face, and 2 shots are fired, correct?
With this video, yes.
Okay. You hear that, right?
In the moment, yes, I did hear it.
Okay. Now, if you can see, and we'll play it, I'm not trying to trick you. This is Mr. Huber, correct?
It is hard to see with whatever is blocking.
Play it for a second. Okay, that's Mr. Huber, right?
That is correct, yes.
Now, this person here that's just coming into the frame, that's you.
That is correct, yes.
Okay. And you are running, correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay. Now, you had originally said that you wanted, you were going to tell Mr. Huber to stop beating him, but now you understand that you didn't say anything. You were just running, whatever word you want. You're moving towards Mr. Rittenhouse, right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. We just heard a shot, yes?
Correct.
Okay. And to be fair, that you put on the brakes, right? You were running, you then almost stop in your tracks. Fair enough?
Correct.
Okay. And I don't know if your arms are up at that point, but it looks like you're kind of protecting your head at that point. Is that fair?
That is correct.
Okay. How far do you think you are away from him at that point, to the best of your ability?
I would say about there, between
Me and you?
you and I, correct.
So 3 feet?
3 to 5.
Okay. Now at that point, you have your hands up, right?
Yes, I do.
Now you probably don't notice him at the time. But this guy's holding what looks like a wooden club of some type.
Some sort of wooden object, yes.
Okay. So your hands are up, and at that point, he has not fired at you, correct?
No, he is not.
Okay. It's going to be quick. You would agree at this point, you are dropping your hands, you are loading your front foot, and you are moving toward Mr. Rittenhouse at that point, true?
Yes.
Okay. So, when you were shot, can you bring up the photo? You'd agree, and now wait, how close do you think you are to him at that point?
3 feet. If it was 5 feet before, it would. So.
So tell me if I've got the lay of the land. At this point, you're holding a loaded, chambered Glock 27 in your right hand. Yes?
That is correct. Yes.
You are advancing on Mr. Rittenhouse, who is seated on his butt, right?
That is correct.
You're moving forward, and your right hand drops down with your gun. Your hands are no longer up, and now the gun is pointed in the direction of Mr. Rittenhouse. Agree? I'll give you a picture. Maybe that'll help. What? What's the next one?
These been marked as exhibits.
These happen, that's what I was saying.
So, Mr. Grosskreutz, I'm going to show you what has been marked as Exhibit 67. That's a photo of you, yes?
Yes.
Okay. That's Mr. Rittenhouse?
Correct.
Okay. Now, you'd agree your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And once your firearm is pointed at Mr. Rittenhouse, that's when he fires his gun. Yes?
No.
Sir, look, I don't want to... Does this look like right now your arm is being shot?
That looks like my bicep being vaporized. Yes.
Okay. And it's being vaporized as you're pointing your gun directly at him. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so when you were standing 3 to 5 feet from him with your arms up in the air, he never fired, right?
Correct.
It wasn't until you pointed your gun at him, advanced on him, with your gun, now your hands down, pointed at him, that he fired, right?
Correct.
You had mentioned that you believe that he was re-racking. I don't know much about guns, but you had mentioned that you believed he was re-racking his gun or something, right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Now, this is your. Tell me if this is right. This is your tweet from November 5th. So, during this trial, you're tweeting out, yes?
Yes.
And you tweet out to whoever these people are, make sure you look and listen for the defendant's firearm malfunction, and then you have a winky emoji face. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. So this is, the 5th was yesterday?
That would have been Friday.
Time's flying, Judge. So Friday at 7:45, and what's the winky emoji face for?
I believe that was in response to whoever the original poster is on there. I don't know what the original post was, but it was more than likely in response to this person's opinion that they had posted.
Now, you had said that you were looking for a non-lethal way to end this interaction.
That is correct, yes.
Yet you pulled your gun out and began, I'm going to use the word chase. You began chasing or running after a man who was running away from you, correct?
That is correct.
Now, you had said, and you were asked about the do no harm and the tattoo on your arm and things like that, right? You have some regrets from that evening, don't you?
No.
Well, Jacob Marshall's your roommate, isn't he?
No, he's not.
He was your roommate, correct?
He was, yes.
Okay. And Jacob Marshall came to visit you in the hospital. Is that right?
Yes, he did.
Okay. And I know he's taken it down, but not before we saw it. He posted something on either Twitter or Facebook with you, right?
Correct.
Do you remember that?
Remember what?
The picture that you guys took in the hospital together?
Yes, I do.
We haven't gotten to it yet, Your Honor, but I'm going to be objecting on hearsay grounds, yeah.
Yes. We need to talk about this. So maybe we should. I assume you have more questions beyond this.
Not a ton, but we should probably get this cleared up.
Yeah, we might as well. Let's take a break. Please don't talk about the case during the break. I assume your lunch will be here shortly. Don't read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial. Okay, see you in a little bit. See you at about 1:15. Thank you. Why isn't this hearsay? Well, we'll start there.
Judge, I believe I can ask Mr. Grosskreutz if he said it. That's not hearsay. Did you say this to Mr. Marshall? I'm not asking.
Sorry. Well, go ahead. Go ahead.
He can deny it, right? And then I can call Mr. Marshall, which he was in court. Now he's under subpoena.
Oh, he's here.
Well, he left.
Where is he?
I don't know. He was sitting in court. He got served with a subpoena, and he is gone.
Well, let's find out right now whether he's here, because if he isn't here and he was served with a subpoena to appear when?
Wednesday.
Yeah, not till Wednesday.
Okay.
He's going to be in our case in chief.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I believe I can ask a witness if they've made a statement. If that witness denies it, then I would call somebody to impeach that witness.
State?
I agree with everything, but what was being marked there was a Facebook post from Jacob Marshall, and that's my objection. Jacob Marshall's Facebook post is hearsay. They can call him to testify.
He's not asking to offer the exhibit, I don't think, not yet anyway. He wants to ask him about the content.
That, as far as that goes, Your Honor, that's fine. I anticipated the exhibit was about to be used since it was in the process of being marked, and that's why I said, Your Honor, I'm going to be objecting on hearsay grounds, because the exhibit is hearsay.
So, Judge, I'm going to ask him if he's in this picture, which he is, and if that's Mr. Marshall in the picture, which I believe it is. I'm not going to, at this point, I'm not going to ask that the jury see it, but I'm going to ask him about the content of it, and then based on his answer, I'm going to call Mr. Marshall to testify if he denies it.
Certainly the inquiring about a statement allegedly made by the witness would not be hearsay. But there certainly is a coiled snake of hearsay, potential hearsay, so we have to be careful.
I'm not going to, I think it's appropriate that he acknowledges that he's in the picture, and then I'm not going to do anything else with it other than to ask him the question.
Excellent. What more could I
ask? As long as the jury doesn't see that post right now, that's my concern, because that's hearsay.
Okay.
And I'm not going to do that, so okay, thank you. What time would you like to start, Judge?
1:15, please.
Thank you.
And anything before we start?
No.
All right, I'll call the jury down.
Hello?
Would you come down, please?
Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
We'll begin with another witness, Mr. Richards.
Your Honor, Mr. Strauss is going to be handling this witness.
Okay.
Can you call Jacob Marshall?
Stand, please. Raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, self you God?
I do.
You may be seated.
Sir, will you state your name and spell your last name?
My name is Jacob Marshall, JacobMarshall.
And Mr. Marshall, do you know Gaige Grosskreutz?
I do.
Would you say that he's a friend of yours?
I would.
And has he been a roommate of yours in the past?
Yes.
Okay. And from what period of time to what period of time were you guys living as roommates?
I want to say maybe 3 months up prior to the incident of, I don't recall exactly that happened, but probably like 3 months prior to that, he was living with me up until.
So if I said May of 2020, sound fair?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. And after August 25th, 2020, did you visit your friend Gaige Grosskreutz in the hospital?
Yes, I did.
And do you remember when you visited him?
I believe the following day after the incident happened that night, I went to see him the next day as soon as I could get a hold of his family and stuff, so yeah.
And when you saw him, did you see him in Milwaukee?
Yes.
And you posed for a picture with him in the hospital in Milwaukee, is that right?
Objection, leading.
You know, we've heard that objection quite a bit during the trial, and the suggestiveness is the offensive part of a leading question, and somehow I don't feel from what we've heard already that he's going to lead this witness into an answer, so the objection is overruled.
Did you take a photograph with him at the hospital in Milwaukee?
Yes, we did.
Did you, do you have did you at the time have a Facebook account?
At the time, yes.
And photograph for Grosskreutz, did you post that photograph on your Facebook account?
Yes, I did.
I'm going to show you what has been marked as exhibit number 70 for identification. Mr. Marshall, can you take a look at that? Is that a picture of you and Mr. Grosskreutz?
It is.
Okay, and that's a picture in the hospital that was taken?
Yes.
Okay. And I want you to look to the right of the photograph. There's some, not that familiar with Facebook, but there's an entry that you made with your name and then some writing on it. Is that right?
It appears so, yes.
Okay. Can you put up? So this is the Facebook post we're talking about, and tell me if this is fair. It says, I just talked to Gaige Grosskreutz, two. His only regret was not killing the kid and hesitating to pull the gun before emptying the entire mag into it. He said that to you, correct?
No.
He didn't say that to you?
He never said that to me.
You just posted something about your friend, your roommate, that was a lie?
I did. Given the circumstances and all the threats I've received on the internet, I've never been put in a position like that. Addresses of ours were posted. My mother was getting inboxed. My sister. It was insane with everything going on at the time. I made a bad remark. I was trying to stick up for my friend at the time who, he didn't know any of this was going on. He didn't see the post or anything.
You're not sticking up for him. You're saying what he said.
No.
Hold on. This post down here should have killed him right then and there. That's you saying that, right?
That is me saying that, yes.
Okay. This post right here is you equating something that Mr. Grosskreutz said to you.
I lied. He never said that. Those words have never came out of his mouth.
I'm going to object, Your Honor. This is asked and answered, argumentative, and leading.
Overruled.
So he never said that. You made it all up.
100% made it all up.
Nothing else. Thank you.
Mr. Marshall, after you learned that your roommate had been shot that night, what did you do?
I actually went to Kenosha trying to figure out if he was alive. My sister was the one that notified me. She was watching his live stream, and I had to figure out if my friend was alive. Even at the time, I had no answers. So I drove from Milwaukee to Kenosha to the first hospital. They were transferring him to a secondary hospital, which then he got flight lifted back to Milwaukee. So I basically drove down to Kenosha to drive back to see him in freighter, but I wasn't able to see him until the following day, at least, 12 hours at least or plus after the incident happened. So
as you came down to Kenosha, you first went to KMH or Freighter South looking for him, is that right?
Yes, it is.
And you got there a few minutes after he'd been moved to another hospital in Kenosha, is that right?
Yes, I don't know the exact second hospital. It's like St. Mary's or something along those lines, something like that.
And then when you went to that second hospital, you got there a few minutes after the helicopter had flown him all the way back up to Milwaukee.
Yeah, I actually was watching him get loaded into the flight for life. I kind of assumed it was him, and still I had no idea if he was going to make it. I didn't know the severity of things.
And so then you drove back up to Milwaukee to freighter there to try and see whether or not your roommate was alive.
Well, yeah, that was a goal, but like I said, I wasn't able to get a hold of anyone. He was obviously anonymous at the hospital. I was just trying to get answers for his mom and his family to make sure, I wasn't sure if my friend was going to make it or not. So I was just, following him around trying to figure it out. But
You were worried, you were scared.
I've never been in that position in my life. It was very traumatic watching, my roommate, best friend get shot, and like I said, I thought he was dead from the second of how everything played out. So I was very scared, very worried about everything.
On top of being worried about his safety, you were also experiencing people putting his name on the internet, correct?
Yes.
And then all sorts of people who supported the defendant were making threats against him and you, correct?
Yes, I actually believe one of the guys that was sending threats was with the defendant that night. His name is like Dustin Collette or something. He was sending pictures of guns to us. That was just a little things. Old addresses of ours got leaked out. I was in fear for my family and fear for my friends. It was pretty crazy.
So this post where you're talking about emptying a magazine, was that your way of kind of trying to deter everybody from coming after you by letting them know that you guys are armed and ready to defend yourselves?
That was 100% it. Gaige has never said those words. I was trying to stick up for him more or less. That was, looking back, obviously not a good choice of words to say. I put in my emotions of, what I wish would have happened. I guess you could say it that way that night. But those words never came out of my friend's mouth. When I seen him the next day at the hospital, I cried. I was like, I'm so glad you're alive. Kind of let him know the severity of everything going on social media. It was pretty wild. So yeah.
And it's fair to say that even after that, in the year, 14 months since then, you and Gaige have continued to experience threats, harassment online, things like that.
The second I got subpoenaed out of court on Monday, instantly was already getting hundreds of messages, friend requests from people I have no idea. It still goes on to this day. It's insane.
Is your friend Gaige the type of person who would take another life?
No, and that's clearly shows of.
The objection is sustained.
Gaige is a medic?
He is a medic.
A paramedic and an EMT?
Yes.
Fair to say he's dedicated his life to preserving and healing other people?
Yes, he cares about the wellness and safeties of others.
Nothing further.
Mr. Marshall, you took this post down, did you not?
After getting all the harassment and stuff and instantly seeing that right away, yeah, down immediately.
And you knew from this post, can you bring up the post again? You knew from the post, because the picture on the bottom shows Mr. Grosskreutz with a firearm, right? You see that?
I do.
Okay. So you, out of anger or frustration, you knew that if you said that if his only regret was not killing the kid, you knew that would hurt him, right?
I did not at the time. Like I said, I was trying to stick up for my friend. It was a very hectic thing. I've never dealt with that situation like that. It was bad judgment.
So your method of sticking up for your friend who you know is possessing a firearm is to lie about something he said.
And like I said, bad. I was gonna say, like I said, it was gonna be bad. It was a bad judgment, bad call on my part of even wording something like that, and it was out of pure anger. That's really all I have.
Judge, I move 7D. I have no other questions.
Any objection?
I have no objection to the exhibit, and I have no further questions.
You may step down, sir. Received.
Your Honor, we would recall Anmal Kindry.
You're still under oath, sir. No.
Okay.
You want me to wait, Judge? Is that what you-
No.
Do you want me to go or want me to wait?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
And the judge has told you that you are still. The state had called you as a witness back on November 5th regarding this case?
I don't know the date, but yes.
Okay. And do you remember that I was asking you some questions regarding the vehicles, the number of vehicles that had been damaged, the amount of loss that your business had suffered, and information regarding insurance, things of that nature?
True, yes.
And do you recall part of, and I've got a transcript, so I'll be happy to show you if you have questions about what you had said. Do you remember me asking you about the, I asked this question, can you give me a ballpark, meaning the amount of loss that your business suffered? And you had said that you couldn't remember. I asked you more than 100,000. You said yes. I said more than 250,000, and you said, I do not know, sir. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Do you remember saying, being asked this question, and you don't know what the loss from those fires were? Your answer was, I personally never calculated it. My dad does the money part.
Yes, yes.
Is that true?
Yes.
That you still don't, you didn't know at the time what the loss was?
Well, when we arrived on Monday, seeing all the destruction, all the cars, looking at the property, because a lot of oil has lost, it has gone into the asphalt, the soil replacement and all that. So, I mean, we were in shock.
My question to you is, as you sit here today, are you still under oath stating that you don't know and didn't know what the loss was?
Sorry, I cannot remember.
You can't not know what the loss was from your business.
I think you need to restructure that question. Restructure the question. Where's Sister Marcian's pointer? This word order is not acceptable.
Okay.
Okay.
You recall testifying last week?
Yes.
And do you recall when you testified last week, you were asked if you were aware of the total amount of loss to your properties? You remember that?
Yes.
And do you remember you testified under oath that you didn't personally know what the loss was, that you never calculated it?
I personally didn't.
And is that your testimony today?
At the time, I didn't know what the exact loss was.
No, that's not the question. Answer the question he asked, please.
Sorry, please repeat the question.
Is that your answer today, that you don't know what the loss was?
I do have approximation what the loss was.
And did you learn that from the last time you were in court till today?
Yes.
Okay. What is it?
It was approximately $400,000.
Okay. I'm going to show you, you provided an interview the day after this happened, is that right? And I'll show you, tell me if you're on the screen.
Guys, remember there's just all these cars were exploding.
Turn the volume off until we get there. What?
It's double volume, so it's
Please let her have the other. Go ahead. Now those are cars at your lot, right?
At that time, yes.
Is that your brother?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is
Hold on.
your business.
Is that you?
Yes.
Okay. You go ahead.
And so obviously it's affecting pretty hard. Yeah.
Is it intended to hear this?
Yes.
Well, I can't.
Okay.
Now, I got my sinus earplug, but can other people hear it? No, okay. I wouldn't think that would control this. I think it's going to be earlier in the system.
It is all the way up. At least on my end, we can see if the TV says we're on it.
Because it should be coming, yeah.
We'll just, they couldn't hear it, so if it didn't stand right there,
I can't play it
it's too
at the
loud.
same time.
I apologize if you get something else.
They're shaking their heads.
I don't know how to make
I
it.
can't hear.
I can't hear you.
I would think because it is, I thought, connected into the system here.
I don't have it's all the way up on my computer. That's all.
Okay. Have you got ours all the way up? Is there any place where it's coming in clearly? Are you getting it clearly?
Can you hear on those? Can we turn that TV on? The volume on that TV? If we turn the mics off, that might work.
Is anyone getting it clearly?
Yeah, let's talk. So this is your business, and this obviously is affecting you pretty hard.
Big time. We built this place up from the ground up.
Yeah.
When we started this business back in 2018, we had about 5 to 7 cars. 7 cars. I counted. The first day we had only 7 cars. 7 cars.
Yeah. Do you feel like right now with this that you're still Kenosha bound? You're going to stay here in Kenosha and rebuild?
Probably not. Well, the thing is, if there's no government funding or if there's no help from anybody, because there's nothing I can do. I mean, in order.
You just said to him, if there's no government funding for this, there's nothing we're going to be able to do, right?
I must have. I don't remember saying that.
You're not disputing you said it.
I must have.
Okay, go ahead.
Run a business, it takes a lot of effort, it takes a lot of people, it takes a lot of effort.
We have to build
actually
capital first
to reinvest it.
Yeah. We would have been at least so happy that, okay, we lost only 5 cars. 10, 15, okay, max 20, okay, 25.
How many cars were lost total, you know?
In total?
Yeah.
In all 3 locations?
137.
137.
137 cars.
Yep.
I heard that there was at least $1.5 million worth of damage.
That was the
Just
first.
2.5 in total.
Just
2.5 million in total. That's what you said to him the day after, right?
I must have.
Well, you heard it, right?
Yes.
So when you said 400,000 today, is that a lie?
It's not a lie. It's what it is when we, like I said, when we saw that from in our eyes, we were in shock.
Okay.
To be able to how to come back from it, we were taking everything in consideration in terms of all the oil, the gas has gone into the asphalt, the DOR. So we're basically putting everything in the consideration to get back on track. That's.
Understand that, but I want you to answer my question.
Go ahead.
My question was, when you testified today under oath that your loss was 400,000, you'd agree that's not what you said on the tape, right?
That is correct.
So What you testified to today under oath, that's a lie, right?
It was a mistake
Today,
last time, but in the video.
the 2.5 million is the mistake.
Yes, because we were in shock.
So where'd you come up with that number?
Like I just explained to you, over the property loss, the building, the roof, the glass, we didn't know. We looking at the condition of the lot, I mean, you can clearly see it, the asphalt, the soil contamination, there's DOR involved, so that stuff is not cheap. So we were just approximating it that that's probably how much it's gonna be for us to be back on track.
What, he asked you that he said that he heard it was $1 million or $1.5 million, right? And then you corrected him and said, no, it's 2.5.
Well, that's what I said, because of the DOR, and we knew we had to go through the permits again and stuff like that. So I didn't have, it was just the number that was out there with me being in shock of the damages that has occurred to my dad's business.
You knew the specific number of cars, right?
I didn't remember on last week, but now now it says there.
And it's 137.
I cannot remember what it was in total.
I don't have anything else. Thank you. Oh, Judge, I'm sorry. That was marked as 136 exhibit, and I would move that.
Objection?
No.
Receive. Cross.
Mr. Kindry, the video that we just saw, do you remember what day that was?
I honestly do not.
Do you remember what day all of those cars burned?
This video, it seems like that was early Monday morning. People said Sunday night the lot burned, but when we came to find out, it was Monday early morning, in between 12:30 2 o'clock.
I just want to make sure we're clear about what we're talking about, Mr. Kindry. We looked at this map when you testified on Friday, and the video we just saw is at this location, the car source on the northeast corner of 59th and Sheridan, correct?
That is correct.
And that is the lot that burned around 2 in the morning on Monday morning.
That is correct.
All of that damage had been done a couple days before the shootings where Mr. Rittenhouse killed people on the night of Tuesday, August 25th.
That is correct.
And your interview there that we watched is hours after the cars had all burned?
Honestly, I don't remember what the time or the date was.
When that property burned, it wasn't just the cars, it was the building too.
Exactly, yes.
There was records, computers,
yes,
business files inside that building,
yes,
that were destroyed or damaged.
Yes.
Did that make it hard for you as or your family to figure out all of your business inventory, the property value, things like that?
Very hard, yes.
Is it fair to say that 6 or 8 hours after the incident, you didn't have a clear picture of the full value of your cars?
That is correct.
I have nothing further.
You didn't have a clear picture on November 5th either, did you? Of this year?
I did not.
Nothing else?
Nothing further. You may step down.
That's called Kyle Rittenhouse.
We need to do something. Take about 5 minutes. Can you step out just into the library here for a sec. Anybody who wants to go upstairs may do so, but this will be less than 5 minutes, I'm expecting. Yeah. Well, wait till the jury's here. Your lawyer has called you to testify as a witness in this case, and I just want to advise you what your rights are. You are allowed to testify if you wish under the Constitution, and no one can keep you from testifying, even your own lawyer, if that's what you want to do. If you do decide to testify, then the district attorney will be allowed to cross-examine you about anything that is relevant to this case. And that, are there any claimed prior untruthful statements? 90608.
What we've had testimony regarding the things he said about not shooting anyone.
No. I'm talking about prior instance of dishonesty under 90608.
No.
Okay. So that's not an issue. The district attorney will also be allowed to ask you if you've got any criminal history or juvenile adjudications. Are there any of that?
Not aware of any.
Okay. And you could be asked about any other crimes, wrongs, or prior events that I think I've ruled on everything that's been presented to me.
You have left the door open on some things, Your Honor.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about it, and nothing, I've not heard anything in the case that would suggest to me that I would change any of those rulings. So unless there's something else on that, I don't need to cover that in terms of a possible inquiry. He will be able to ask you anything which is relevant to this case, germane, pertinent to this case, and you will have to answer those questions, even though it may ensnare you in some other criminal prosecution. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any question about that at all?
No, Your Honor.
You also have a right not to testify if you don't wish to do so. And if you decide that you do not wish to testify, then no comment can be made on your silence by the district attorney. And I will not comment on your silence unless I am asked by your attorney to do so. And the only comment that I would make on it, if I were asked to do so, would be to instruct the jury that the defendant in a criminal case has the absolute constitutional right not to testify, and that your silence must not be considered by the jury in any manner in deliberation or in reaching their verdict. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
So that'll be a choice that I would ask Mr. Sharofsky or Mr. Richards at a later point as to what you wanted to do if you decided not to testify, but that won't be an issue if you decide that you do want to testify, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any question about this at all?
No, Your Honor.
Have you had enough time to discuss this matter with your lawyers?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you had enough time to think about what you're doing?
Yes, Your Honor.
Do you think what you're doing is the best thing under all the circumstances?
Yes, Your Honor.
Has anybody threatened you or pressured you or forced you in any way with respect to this decision?
No, Your Honor.
Has anybody promised you anything in exchange for this?
No, Your Honor.
Is your mind clear today?
Yes, Your Honor.
Are you feeling all right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Have you had anything alcoholic to drink today?
No, Your Honor.
Have you had any drugs or controlled substances of any kind within the last 24 hours?
No, Your Honor.
Any reason I should not accept his waiver?
No, Your Honor, this is consistent with advice of counsel.
Okay. Any
I'm not
questions?
aware of any reason.
Okay, all right then. Anything else?
May I just have a moment to run back to my office real quick? I'll be back in 2 minutes.
Sure.
Thank you.
to come back in, please. Hey. You may be seated. Swear to the witness, please.
Can I ask you to stand, please, and raise your right hand? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give in this matter be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
You may be seated.
Could you please state your name, spelling your last name for the record?
Kyle Rittenhouse, Rittenhouse.
Kyle, where do you reside?
Walworth County.
How old are you?
18.
On August 25th of 2020, did you come to downtown Kenosha to look for trouble?
No.
Would you have shot Joseph Rosenbaum if he hadn't chased you trying to take your firearm?
Objection, leading.
That sounds kind of leading.
Would you... I'll get to it. Are you a high school graduate?
Yes.
What high school?
Penn Foster Online High School.
Are you currently enrolled in any further studies?
I'm a college student studying nursing at Arizona State University.
Who do you currently live with?
My mom and 2 sisters.
Directing your attention to August 25th of 2020, where did you reside?
Antioch, Illinois.
Do you remember the address?
286 Anita Terrace, apartment 104, Antioch, Illinois.
And who did you live with there?
My mother and 2 sisters.
What's your father's name?
Michael Rittenhouse.
Back on August 25th of 2020, where did he reside?
He lived in Kenosha, in the city of Kenosha, in the apartments behind the Pick and Save on 50th. On 50.
Do you have any other family that's from Kenosha?
Yes.
What?
My grandmother, my aunt, my uncle, and cousins all live in the city of Kenosha.
Okay. There's been testimony in this trial about the firearm in question, which has been marked. States 28. You've seen that gun?
Yes.
Before August 25th of 2020, had that gun ever left the state of Wisconsin?
No.
Now, before this event happened on August 25th of 2020, did you have any hobbies?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you like to do.
I was a swimmer. I enjoyed working. I was a lifeguard. Hanging out with friends, going to the beach. Just normal teenage stuff.
Were you a member of any groups, organized groups?
Yes.
What?
I was a police explorer for Grays Lake Police Department, and I was a firefighter EMT cadet for Antioch Fire Department.
Did you have any training in life-saving, anything like that?
Yes.
What?
I was a certified lifeguard. I am a certified lifeguard and swim instructor. I am certified in Stop the Bleed, CPR, AED, automatic external defibrillator, and basic life support.
Okay. On August 25th of 2020, where were you employed?
I was furloughed at the YMCA in Lindenhurst, Illinois because of the COVID-19 pandemic, and I was working at the Recplex in Pleasant Prairie.
Okay. Recplex here in Kenosha County?
Yes.
Now, On the night of the 24th, did you come to downtown Kenosha?
Not downtown, but I came to Kenosha for work.
Okay. And after your shift at work completed, where did you go?
I went to Dominic Black's stepfather's house. I believe his name is Scott Dickhart. It's been a while since I've seen him.
Okay. And who is Dominic Black in relationship to you?
Him and Dominic Black and my sister Mackenzie Rittenhouse used to date.
Okay. And on the night of the 24th, were you aware of anything going on in Kenosha?
I knew there was protests, demonstrations, and riots going on in the later evening.
Okay. And how were you aware of that?
I saw videos on social media, on Facebook live streams, TikTok of. I saw the Car Source lot being burned down, the Car Source 1, what we've been referring to. I saw a police officer get assaulted. He had a brick thrown at his head. And I saw the mattress store owner get knocked out, and I believe his jaw was broken and had to be wired shut or something.
And you saw all of that on the 24th?
Yes.
Did you go to downtown Kenosha at that time and try and do anything about that?
No, I did not.
Directing your attention to the late morning of August 25th, 2020, did you have occasion to go downtown?
I did go to downtown in the morning of August 25th.
Who did you go there with?
I went there with Dominic Black, my sister Mackenzie Rittenhouse, and Ray Dickhart.
And describe what you did.
We walked around for a little bit, and then I believe at around 11:30 noon, we ended up at Ruther Central High School, where we ended up cleaning graffiti for about, I want to say, an hour and a half to 2 hours.
Showing what's been previously marked as Exhibit 131. Do you recognize that?
I do.
Could you describe what you see in that photo?
Towards the left in the olive green shirt, that's me, and then to my left, that's Ray Dickhart, and to my right, that's my sister Mackenzie Rittenhouse. And
what are you doing there?
we're cleaning graffiti off of Ruther Central High School.
And were you getting paid to do this?
No, I was not.
And you see what the graffiti says?
Yes.
And you do what it said as you were cleaning it off?
Yes.
I won't repeat it. After you were done doing that, what did you do?
We were walking, and we went to the Car Source lot, the first location, and we were looking at the destruction of the burnt cars, and we saw the owner, Sam and Sal, I believe that's what they told us their names were.
And you saw, when we say Car Source, the one that you met Sam and Sal at is what we've been referring to as Car Source number 1?
Yes.
And that's the one that they just played a video of all the burnt out cars?
Yes.
Did you have any discussions with Sam and Sal?
Briefly, I offered my condolences, and I said if there's anything I can do, please reach out to me. He gave me his number. I gave him my number, and
you were with Dominic Black at that time?
I was.
And your sister?
Yes.
And what did you do after that?
After that, we walked back to, I believe, we parked our car by, you see the parking lot?
Do you have the pointer up there?
Yes. We parked our car right in this parking lot in that corner, somewhere over there.
I can't see that far, I'm sorry. You're referring to the parking lot, which is at the corner 59th and Sheridan. It would be the southeast corner, correct?
Correct.
And you're pointing the dot. You parked closer to 8th Street, correct?
Yes.
Okay, you can put the pointer down. And whose car did you get there in?
Dominic Black's.
And when you left, where did you go?
Once we left that parking lot, we went to Dominic Black's stepfather's house again, and we hung out there for a little bit.
Okay. And do you know who Nick Smith is?
I do.
And did you have any contact with Nick Smith that afternoon?
Later in the evening, around 3:30, 4 o'clock, Nick Smith called me and Dominic.
And when he called you, what was the nature of the call?
At first, Nick Smith wanted us to drive him to Chicago by O'Hare Airport, the suburbs of Chicago, because he wanted to buy a bulletproof vest. And Dominic said, okay, we'll drive him. And then he said, okay, I need you to pick me up at like 3:30, 4 o'clock.
Okay. Did you go and pick him up eventually?
Yes, we actually, before we picked him up, we went to Jelensky's.
Okay. What did you do at Jelensky's?
We bought, Dominic wanted me to buy 2 rifle slings.
And did you?
I did.
One was for what?
One was for my rifle, and the other one was for Dominic's rifle.
Okay. And why did you care about your rifles that evening?
The reason for the slings were just so it's like a retainer, so if I'm helping somebody with first aid, I can just like dangle my rifle behind me and I don't have to worry about somebody just randomly going and picking it up off the ground, just as like an extra measure so it won't be taken from the ground.
And what time did you go to Jelensky's?
I want to say about 2:30, but I don't know exactly for sure.
Okay. When did you first have contact with Nick Smith?
3:30. 3:15.
Okay.
3:15 through 3:30.
And was there any discussion regarding Car Source at that time?
Yes.
What?
Nick Smith, once we picked him up, he wanted to go to a bank to withdraw money. The bank was closed, and then he was like, hey, would you guys like to come with me and help watch over the Car Source, make sure there's no fires or anything? And Dominic said yes. I agreed. I said okay. And then I said, here, Nick, I don't really need my bulletproof vest. I'm going to be helping people with first aid, so I gave him my bulletproof vest.
And by you giving him your bulletproof vest, did that stop the need to go to someplace by O'Hare Airport?
Yes.
Okay. And why does a 17-year-old kid have a bulletproof vest?
It was issued to me by the Grays Lake Police Department.
Okay. You didn't purchase it?
No, I did not.
And after you gave him your bulletproof vest, where did you go?
We went back to Nick Smith's house where we parked Dominic Black's car.
And then what did you do?
We walked from Mr. Smith's house. Once we parked at Nick Smith's house, we walked from Nick Smith's house to the Car Source 1, cutting through the Ruther Central backside parking lot, because Nick Smith lives on the same street of...
You don't have to say where Nick Smith
Okay.
lives. He lives within walking distance from here?
Yes.
Okay. And so you go to Car Source 1?
Yes.
And that's the burnt out one?
No, Car Source 2, my bad, across the street.
Okay. And at Car Source 2, that's where you spent most of the evening?
Yes.
Okay. When you first got to Car Source 2, the one at 59th and Sheridan, what happened?
The owners were there, Sam, Sal, and his father, and I believe, I think it was his uncle there also. He was driving a van of some sort.
Okay. And what was the discussion?
Sam and Sal thanked us for coming out to help. And then Sal said, hey, why don't you guys hop in my car? If I remember correctly, it was either a white or black BMW or Mercedes. I don't recall exactly.
And why did he want you to get in his car?
He was going to drive us down to Car Source lot number 3.
Okay. And did you agree to get in his car?
I did.
And who went to Car Source number 3?
Me, Dominic Black, and Nick Smith.
And who was driving?
Sal.
And when you got there, what happened?
We got out and we hung around for a couple minutes, and then some people showed up. I now know who they are, but at the time I didn't.
Okay. Can I have a word, please? Show you what's been marked as Exhibit 3030. Do you recognize that exhibit?
I do.
And can you, Your Honor, can you go up there, please, and point out can you point out the people who you knew before that picture was taken and name them?
Yes. This is Sal, the owner. This is Ryan Balch. This is Joanne Fiedler. This is Justin Hamilton. This is Dustin Colette. This is Nicholas Smith. I don't recall his name. This is me. And this is Dominic Black.
Okay. We've heard testimony. You can have a seat. We've heard testimony about you, Nick, and Dominic. You knew those individuals before August 25th of 2020?
I knew Nicholas Smith and Dominic Black.
Okay. You did not know the owner of CarSource previously?
I did not.
Was he being nice to you guys? Was he happy you were there? Was he mad at you for being there? Describe it.
He was happy we were there.
Okay. And you heard their testimony, the two owners. I believe that was Friday afternoon.
I did.
And did they give you permission to be there?
They did.
And the other individuals in this photograph, some of whom have testified in this trial, 10 minutes before this photograph was taken, did you know any of them?
I did not.
Had you ever spoken to any of them?
No.
And when you were there, what was the idea? Was there a plan? What was going to happen?
Yes, the plan was to, I went down there to provide first aid. I brought my orange first aid kit, the fanny pack, and I also brought my Pelican box, which was filled with first aid stuff by my feet to provide first aid.
The orange box by your feet you refer to as a Pelican box?
Yes.
Did you have that before the 25th?
Yes.
Was it stocked?
Yes.
With things that you had bought and brought?
Yes.
And do you go with that every day, or is that because of the situation?
It was in the trunk of my car.
Okay. And the fanny pack, what's the situation with that?
It was my work bag. I brought it to work with me, and I would put it under my lifeguard booth.
Okay. And that had first aid supplies?
Yes.
Now, after the meeting here at 63rd and Sheridan Road, what's been referred to as CarSource 3, what happened?
After the photograph, I believe, I don't recall exactly, but there was about 2 or 3 vans that pulled up, like big vans with people inside of them.
Okay. And what was their role in this evening?
Well, they showed up and they wanted to protect the business, and I didn't really have a say in what everybody was doing. I was just there doing my first aid stuff, and then Ryan Ball said, hey, why don't you guys stay here, and we'll go down to the CarSource number 2.
Okay. And so the people, a group of people was going to stay at CarSource 3, and the people depicted in this photograph were going to go where?
CarSource 2.
And is that what happened?
Yes.
And so at that point then, Sam and Sal had coverage, for lack of a better word, at both of their businesses to protect the property, correct?
Yes.
So you get down to CarSource 2, did all of these people go there?
Yes. Besides Sal, the owner, he did not.
Okay. During the night, was Sam and Sal there?
They were not.
They left you guys there?
Yes. I believe Nick Smith was in contact with them throughout the night. I'm not certain, but I believe they were.
And you get down there, were you able to get in and out of the business?
Yes.
How?
Sal, the owner, actually gave Nick Smith a set of keys.
Did you personally see that?
I did.
Did he give you any other direction regarding any equipment or anything like that?
He let us know where, like, the power washers and the fire, I think there was a single fire extinguisher in the building and some hoses, the hose hookups, just in case there was any fires we needed to put out at the lot.
Anything else about the roof?
He showed I believe it was Dominic Black and Nick Smith, the 2 ladders that were there to get up on the roof.
Okay. And did you guys use those ladders?
I didn't personally, but the people that were on the roof did.
Okay. And you saw them use those ladders?
I didn't see them, but that's how they got up there.
Okay. Did Where were you predominantly at Car Source 2?
I was in front of the Car Source 2.
Now, during the night at Car Source 2, did you stay there the whole time?
No, not
Okay.
the whole time.
When you would leave Car Source 2, what were you doing?
When I left, I was with Ryan Balch, and we would go out and ask if anybody needed any first aid assistance, and we would see if there were any fires, and we would put them out.
Okay. Did you personally put out any fires?
I did.
Where?
I put one out at the church.
Can you use the pointer?
So right here was where there was the demolishing. They were breaking some stuff down. But right here, I believe there was another building with an alleyway. It was either right here or right here. I don't remember fully. But there was a fire down the alleyway where they were trying to set the building and church on fire, and me and Mr. Balch, and I believe somebody else was with us. We went to go put that fire out.
Did you put it out?
We did.
Then what did you do?
Around that time, we saw Ruther Central High School on fire, the front doors, and we were walking north down Sheridan Road to go put the fire out. And then somebody else put the fire out before we got to Ruther
When
Central
you
High
say
School.
the front, is that right here at Civic Park?
No, sorry, that's my mistake. You're walking north on Sheridan. It's the side of the building on Sheridan Road towards the left when you're walking north.
In the general area where you had tried to help remove graffiti earlier?
Yes, in that photo to the right.
Okay. And during the evening, was there any friction between your group and protesters / rioters?
No. The only type of stuff that happened was the person that attacked me first threatened to kill me twice.
Okay. And the person who threatened to kill you, we now know is Mr. Rosenbaum, correct?
Yes.
Before August 25th of 2020, had you ever seen him before?
I did not.
Had you ever done anything to upset him?
No.
Now, you said he threatened to kill you twice.
Yes.
Describe the first time.
The first time was me and Ryan Balch were a little bit north, towards the north corner of 59th and Sheridan, and Mr. Rosenbaum was walking with a steel chain, and he had a blue mask around his face, and he was just mad about something. Me and Mr. Balch were asking people if they needed medical help, and then he screamed, sorry for my language, he screamed, "If I catch any of you fuckers alone, I'm going to fucking kill you."
And that was directed at you and Mr. Balch?
It was directed at both of us, what I believe.
And there was a second occasion where he threatened you?
Yes. The second time was outside of the Car Source. And I don't know if it was directed towards me, but I heard it. He said to, I believe it was Joanne Fiedler, Dustin, Colette, and another guy. He was screaming. He said, "I'm going to cut your fucking hearts out and kill," I'm not going to repeat the second word, but "kill you," N-words.
Now, did you ever see Mr. Rosenbaum doing any physical property damage?
I did.
Where?
I saw him with, I now know to be Joshua Zeminski. I saw him tip that trailer over and the porta potty. I saw him do both. And I believe he tried to start the porta potty on fire. I don't know. I don't think he succeeded. But then I saw him with Mr. Zeminski. He was either helping start it or he was like throwing stuff on it. I don't know which one he was doing.
Where did you originally see that trailer?
That trailer was in the St. James Church parking lot. Sort of like right over here in like the backish corner, what I remember.
And did you see how it got from there to where it was put on fire?
It was pulled.
By who?
It was several people that pulled it into the street, but I can't tell you definitely who pulled it into the street.
And you went down there and saw them starting a fire?
I didn't go down there. I was at the corner of the car source lot.
Okay. And you referred to Mr. Zeminski. Before August 25th of 2020, had you ever met Mr. Zeminski?
I have not.
Did you ever meet him since?
I have not.
Now, when you first saw Mr. Rosenbaum, was his top half of his body clothed or unclothed?
He was clothed with a blue mask the first time I saw him. Yeah, blue mask.
And what color was his shirt, if you remember?
A dark red-ish color.
Now, did you provide medical help to anyone?
I did.
Describe a couple of those occasions.
The first time I provided medical help to someone was this lady. I think she sprained her ankle or twisted it. I don't know exactly. I'm not an expert on x-rays, or I wouldn't know. She hurt her ankle and she was being carried by two gentlemen. And I said, hey, before that I was just pepper sprayed, but I was like, hey, do you need help? And she said yes, and I said, okay, let's go into the car source where I was helping people. And I wrapped her ankle, and then she went on her way. And I let her know there was a hospital. If you go, I want to say southbound Sheridan, across the street from car source 3. I let her know that the hospital was over there, and she should go get it looked at.
Okay. Anybody else?
Yes.
What?
Somebody threw a chemical bomb. Actually, right after I heard I'm going to cut your hearts out from Mr. Rosenbaum. I don't know who threw it, but somebody threw a chemical bomb, and Ryan Balch had some effects of it, so I helped Mr. Balch with being able to breathe, and I helped flush his eyes out and had him drink some water.
Okay. You, in the answer to the question just before, you said something about being pepper sprayed?
I did.
And where did that happen?
That happened at the car source, I believe it's the first time a big crowd of people were over there. I was pepper sprayed by somebody that was in the crowd. I don't know why, but I was pepper sprayed.
Did you do anything in retaliation?
I did not.
Now, directing your attention to later in the evening, did there come an occasion where you had contact with Mr. McGinnis?
There was.
And before this evening, August 25th, 2020, did you ever met or spoke to Mr. McGinnis?
I have not.
And you and Mr. McGinnis and Mr. Balch go someplace?
Yes.
And describe that.
I get done with my interview with Mr. McGinnis, and I ask him... I asked Mr. McGinnis... No, I don't ask him. I said, if you want to come with us, that's fine, to document and film me and Ryan helping people. And he said, yeah, sure, and he followed behind us.
And in that tape from Mr. McGinnis, there's talk about you being an EMT, correct?
Yes.
Are you an EMT?
I am not.
You have first aid and other training?
I do.
And you go to south on Sheridan Road?
Correct.
You cross 60th and Sheridan Road?
I believe we stay just to the right going south on Sheridan Road.
Okay, and eventually you cross Sheridan Road?
Eventually.
And were the Bearcats there yet?
No.
Set up stop people that you were aware of?
Not that I was aware of. I just know they were parked right there and people were throwing rocks at them.
Did anybody tell you not to cross that line? You wouldn't be able to go back?
Not until later in the evening.
Okay. You cross that line, and where do you go?
We continue straight Straight in a southerly direction down Sheridan Road.
Okay, were you going any place in particular?
No, we were just going to see if anybody needed medical help, and I looked at a guy's shoulder on the way there.
Okay, and you finished with the guy's shoulder, and you continue on, and what happens?
I continue walking in a southerly direction down Sheridan Road, and then as I'm walking, I believe you guys have been referring to him as Yellow Pants. He said he said something to me. I believe it was, you were the one that pointed your rifle at me with the laser pointed at me. I believe that's what I heard, and I didn't. That's the first time I saw him that night, so I was confused. So I said I did, and then I continued to walk away.
And was the did an admission that you did it, or more of a statement with a question?
It was a sarcastic remark.
Okay. Did you engage with him any further?
No.
And from there, where do you go?
There I continue walking in a southerly direction, merging towards the middle of Sheridan Road.
Okay, at that point, you become aware of anything?
In about as I'm walking, I start to look because I realize Mr. Balch is not with me anymore.
Okay, did you continue on your way down Sheridan Road without Mr. Balch?
No, I actually went to go look for Mr. Balch in the Ultimate Gas Station parking lot.
Okay, when you went to the Ultimate Gas Station parking lot, describe what was going on there.
There were a lot of people there. I don't really know what was going on. I was just focused on trying to find Mr. Balch. As I was looking for him, couldn't find him. I said, okay, no problem. I'll just go back to the car source number 2.
Okay, and describe what happened as you did that.
As I did that, I received a phone call from Dominic Black.
Okay, let me back up. Were you able to get back to car source number 2?
No, I did not.
Describe that.
As I was trying to get back, the police stopped me. Well, it didn't stop me. They told me, I believe they said something along the lines of to not go down there. And I was telling them, hey, I need to go down there. That's where I'm at, that business. I don't remember exactly how that conversation went, but they wouldn't let me go back to car source lot number 2.
So you weren't able to get back to car source 2?
I was not.
Did you disobey the police's order?
No.
And you're alone, you're stuck on the other side of the police line from the car source 2. Where do you go?
I go to where there's other people at the gas station protecting the gas station, and I go there because I believe that's the safest place to go because there's other people there. And
at that point, were you able to find Mr. Balch?
I was not.
Well, you're at the Ultimate Gas Station, I think we've been calling it?
Correct.
Point it out, just so there's no...
Right there, the Ultimate Convenience Center, diagonal from the Gulf gas station.
Okay. And when you were there, what's the next significant thing that happened?
Dominic Black calls me and he says, Kyle, I need you to get down to the car source lot number 3. The cars are being bashed in. They're setting all the cars on fire. I need you to go and put the fires out.
Okay. And did you do anything as a result of that phone call?
I did.
What?
At the Ultimate gas station, I asked, I don't know who he is, but I asked an individual if he could come with me and if I could have a fire extinguisher to put out the fires.
Were both of those requests satisfied?
One of them were.
What?
I was given a fire extinguisher, but he said he can't come with me, and he said he believes there's already people down there helping protect the business.
Okay. And what did you do then?
I start running towards the car source lot number 3 to put out the fires, pausing occasionally to catch my breath and walk.
Okay. On the way to Car Source 3, did you have any interaction with Mr. Rosenbaum?
I did not.
Did you speak to Mr. Rosenbaum?
No.
Did you notice Mr. Rosenbaum doing anything as you went down to Car Source 3?
I didn't notice Mr. Rosenbaum until he came out from behind the car and ambushed me.
Okay, I'll get to that. Did you run the whole way?
No, I didn't.
Okay. You had your gun, correct?
Yes.
And you had a fire extinguisher?
Yes.
And you had your medic?
My medical bag, yes.
And were you asking people about medic at that point?
I was asking people if they needed medical help as I was getting down there.
Did you receive any responses?
No, I didn't.
Describe your approach to Car Source number 3.
As I'm walking down Sheridan Road, I hear somebody scream, "Burn in hell," and I reply with friendly, 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 to let them know, hey, I'm just here to help. I don't want any problems. I just want to put out the fires if there are any. I continue walking, and then I notice the Duramax. I notice a flame in the back seat of the Duramax, and I step towards the Duramax, and as I'm stepping forward, I believe his name is now Jack. He steps in his hand, and as I'm walking towards to put out the fire, I drop the fire extinguisher and I take a step back.
Okay. When you step back from Mr. Zeminski, what's your plan?
My plan is to get out of that situation and go back north down Sheridan Road to where the Car Source lot number 2 was.
And did you get back? Were you able to go in a northerly direction?
I wasn't.
Describe what happens.
Once I take that step back, I look over my shoulder, and Mr. Rosenbaum was now running from my right side, and I was cornered from in front of me with Mr. Zeminski, and there were there were 3 people right there.
Take a deep breath, Kyle.
That's what I... That's what I run.
We're going to just take time for our break anyway. You can just relax for a minute, sir. We're going to take a break about 10 minutes, and please don't talk about the case during the break. Read, watch, or listen to any account of the trial. Let's aim for 10 minutes, but it'll probably be a tad longer. Oh, then she was on.
Okay.
I didn't know if she knew we were out.
All right, we're back, and the appearances are as before with the jury upstairs, and they have notified us that they have reached a verdict. Anything before we call the jury down?
No, Your Honor.
Okay. Oh, yeah, bring them up.
We didn't want to do it until we called for the other ones.
Correct.
Jack and have him bring Jack, bring him down.
All right, bring them in first.
Is the TV going to be in their way?
Remove it, just shove it aside.
Yeah.
You folks can be seated maybe a few minutes while we... What's that? No, yeah.
You don't want anybody standing either, correct?
Is Judge Bruce Schrader. We will listen in live in Kenosha.
That's the only exception. By the way,
Do you want this in the records then, or records?
no, it doesn't need to be. There can't be any reaction at all, no matter how strongly you may feel. And it's understood that many people do have strong feelings, but we can't permit any kind of a reaction to the verdict. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of law enforcement here, and you will be whisked out of here if there is any. So just be aware. Okay.
Hello?
Would you go down, please?
Yes.
Thank you. All right, members of the jury, have you elected a foreperson? Would you give your juror number, please?
54.
54. And has the jury reached a verdict as to each count of the information?
Yes, we have, Your Honor.
One verdict and one verdict only.
Yes.
Would you hand all of the paperwork to the bailiff, please?
This is the ones that you didn't know.
Everything.
Okay.
Yeah, thanks. May I see that too, please, Mrs. Chairman? Thank you. The defendant will rise, face the jury, and hearken to its verdicts.
State of Wisconsin versus Kyle Rittenhouse. As to the first count of the information, Joseph Rosenbaum. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the second count of the information, Richard McGinnis. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the third count of the information, unknown male. We, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fourth count of the information, Anthony Huber, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty. As to the fifth count of the information, Gaige Grosskreutz, we, the jury, find the defendant Kyle H. Rittenhouse not guilty.
Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts? Is there anyone who does not agree with the verdicts as read? Would you wish the jury polled?
No.
Okay. Okay, folks, your job is done, and we started just about 3 weeks ago. And I told you it could last 2 weeks and 2 days. This is 2 weeks. This is 3 weeks. You were a wonderful jury to work with. You were punctual. You were attentive. And the forgotten six over here who had a very difficult job of keeping from discussing the case during the time that they were sequestered as well. All of you, I couldn't have asked for a better jury to work with. And it has truly been my pleasure. I think, without commenting on the verdicts themselves, just in terms of your the attentiveness and the cooperation that you gave to us, justifies the confidence that the founders of our country placed in you. So I dismiss you at this time. You're never under any obligation to discuss any aspect of this case with anyone. You're welcome to do so as little or as much as you want. The media have requested, a number of media sources have requested the ability to talk to you, and they have been allowed to present presentations to you that you'll get in writing, and it's entirely up to you whether you want to contact them. They are not to contact you. If anyone does contact you and just tell them you're not interested in discussing it, if that's the case, and if anyone persists in doing so, report that to us and it will be addressed, I assure you. At the beginning of the trial, there was some concern about information and your safety, and I assure you that we will take every measure to ensure that that is your concerns are addressed and respected. I'm going to talk to you for just a minute, not about anything to do with the case, but just about that sole issue. And you, as I say, you're welcome to discuss the case as little or as much as you want. Any questions, anybody? Thank you so much. And you're after 4 years, you're eligible for service again. It would be my pleasure to work with you. Thank you. Yeah, please. Or in the they can attend in the library. It's not going to be more than a minute, or maybe it will be.
Well,
Yeah, take them upstairs. That's fine. That's fine. Mr. Richards?
Your Honor, I think the judgment on the verdict.
Any word from the state?
The jury has represented our community in this trial and has spoken.
All right, the motion of the defendant is granted. The charges against the defendant on all counts are dismissed with prejudice, and he is released from the obligation of his bond. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you. Good day.
I just sent an email from a bond
And just something tied to an ongoing court case. Why did President Biden suggest that Kyle Rittenhouse on trial in Kenosha is a white supremacist?
So, Peter, what I'm not going to speak to right now is anything about an ongoing trial, nor the president's past comments. What I can reiterate for you is the president's view that we shouldn't have, broadly speaking, vigilantes patrolling our communities with assault weapons. We shouldn't have opportunists corrupting peaceful protests by rioting and burning down the communities they claim to represent anywhere in the country. As you know, closing arguments in this particular case, which I'm not speaking to, I'm just making broad comments about his own view. There's an ongoing trial. We're awaiting a verdict. Beyond that, I'm not going to speak to any individuals or this case.
But the president has spoken to it already. And his mom now, Kyle Rittenhouse's mom, came out saying that the president defamed her son, and that she claims that when the president suggested her son is a white supremacist, he was doing that to win votes. Is that what happened?
I just have nothing more to speak to an ongoing case where the closing arguments were just made. Go ahead.
Given the National Guard is on standby, though, in Wisconsin right now, Jen, does the White House or the President have any message to those who may stir up trouble, regardless of the outcome at the end of the Kyle Rittenhouse trial?
Well, I can give you a little bit of an update that we're in contact, the White House is in contact with state officials at the request of community leaders. The Department of Justice's Community Relations Service has provided trainings on de-escalation and contingency planning to local community organizations, and they're prepared to provide any further assistance that is needed. But, our message, I would say, is that President Biden ran on a promise to bring Americans together and to turn down the temperature on the angry, divisive rhetoric and actions we saw over the past 4 years. That's his overarching objective. It doesn't mean that he doesn't understand. Of course he does. When emotions are high, when passions are high, we're here to provide support. And obviously we're going to wait for any verdict to come out. And beyond that, certainly we are hopeful that any protest will be peaceful.
To investigator Megan Hickey was inside the courtroom as the jury delivered that verdict. And Megan, tell us what that moment was actually like.
Right, Erica, at first it wasn't clear that this was the moment that we'd been waiting for 3.5 days. I sat directly behind the family of Anthony Huber and Joseph Rosenbaum in court, and they weren't aware of a verdict until the sheriff's deputies brought them into the hallway just moments before. I did pass Anthony Huber's girlfriend in the hallway. She had her hands clasped in prayer and was looking up, but it's clear that this was not the verdict that she was praying for.
We, the jury, find the defendant, Kyle H. Rittenhouse, not guilty.
He collapsed into the table, clutching his tie, and needed help getting back into his seat. He'd been shaking since the moment that he'd been found not guilty in the death of Anthony Huber, the most serious charge against him. The members of the jury really didn't show any emotion as they handed the paperwork over to the judge. There were audible gasps after the verdict was read. I was sitting across the aisle from his family, including his mother, Wendy Rittenhouse, who started crying. In the bench directly in front of me, Carrie Ann Swart, Joseph Rosenbaum's fiance, Susan Hughes, Anthony Huber's great aunt, and Hannah Giddings, Anthony Huber's girlfriend, were silent. You can see Susan Hughes's jaw had literally dropped. It was a few minutes before I started hearing sniffles from the families of the two men who were killed by Rittenhouse.
Would you wish the jury pulled?
It was as if it had taken them a few minutes to fully process the fact that he had been found not guilty on all counts after 3.5 days of deliberation. Huber's family respectfully asked for space as they left the courthouse surrounded by sheriff's deputies. Huber's parents did not attend the trial in person, in part because they said they couldn't bear to sit in a courtroom and watch the videos showing his death. But they said they watched the trial remotely, hoping it would bring them closure. But it didn't happen. We are heartbroken and angry that Kyle Rittenhouse was acquitted in his criminal trial for the murder of our son, Anthony Huber. There was no justice today for Anthony or for Mr. Rittenhouse's other victims. Quote, "We are so proud of Anthony and we love him so much. He is a hero who sacrificed his own life to protect other innocent civilians. We ask that you remember Anthony and keep him in your prayers." Now, after initially declining to speak with us, we did catch up with Huber's girlfriend and great aunt, Ann Rosenbaum's fiance, and this is what they had to say about the verdict.
I think they tried. I like the fact that there must have been someone fighting for us, because it wouldn't have taken them that long.
The biggest thing that I need to say is that if one person's life or two persons' lives don't matter, then none of our lives matter. So it's either all of our lives matter or none of them matter. And I feel like in this case it feels like the victims' lives don't matter. And I don't think that that's acceptable.
I miss Anthony every single day. Every day I wish that I could come home to him and unload some of this weight that's on my shoulders. But I can't, because he's dead. And now this system is telling me that nobody needs to answer for that. And I have a problem with that.
Now, we did speak to the jurors. We did ask them as they were being moved from the courthouse to the bus if they'd be interested in speaking with us or sharing anything about those 26.5 hours of deliberation. They declined at this time, and we were very careful to respect their privacy. Erica?
Right. Megan Hickey, live for us in Kenosha as well. Thank you.
At this point, there is no remaining doubt that Kyle Rittenhouse acted in self-defense during the riots last summer in Kenosha. Every shot Rittenhouse fired was captured on videotape and from multiple angles. Every single witness who testified this week at the trial confirmed exactly what happened. And here are the facts of it. A convicted child rapist called Joseph Rosenbaum was released from a mental hospital and then went directly to join the mob that was burning downtown Kenosha. Once he got to the riot, Rosenbaum saw Kyle Rittenhouse and immediately threatened to kill him. Rosenbaum then chased Rittenhouse and tried to pull the gun from his hands. When he did that, Kyle Rittenhouse shot him. So Joseph Rosenbaum died as he had lived, trying to touch an unwilling minor. High energy.